afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Wild Rift Origin Series monthly finals for July. I'm Lee D.M. Smith, and joining me is Max Man. And Max, how you doing, buddy? It's been a while since we actually cast together. I think December was the last time.
I think it was late, like November, December, something like that. And even I almost were together for the last monthly finals. But you know what? I wanted to avoid you. I ran away, but I couldn't avoid you 2 months in a row. So this time we're together, man. We're in it for the run.
We're in it for the whole day, so we are going to be here. Let's talk about what happened, obviously, last time out. The June monthly finals, you kicked things off, obviously, so and I managed to catch the tail end and cover some of the finals. Let's go through those groups and how it all played out back in June. Just a month ago now, obviously, some big surprise winners in there, some not surprised. I think Tribe definitely wasn't a surprise in there. But especially Game Lord, for example, comes to mind. Big shock for them to drop down into the lower brackets by Team Queso. You know, some of the big favorites that came through.
Yeah, very surprising actually for Game Lord to see them go out so early on into the upper side bracket. I think a lot of people were expecting them to be a finalist up against Tribe. I think a lot of people were expecting that to be the big clash into the finals, but didn't quite happen. They dropped out very early, and even into the lower bracket, they dropped down very quickly itself. So very surprising for them. They also have some really big surprises, and I think that is one big standout surprise. If you look at this lower bracket, it has to be Crimreal Betis here, D-Man. Very clearly, this team just took down some of the top names in the EMEA scene. Reason Gaming, Singularity, 7 Free Agents, and they almost made it go right to the very end, but unfortunately, Team Queso got the better of them and pushed himself up into the finals. So very impressed, and Crimreal Betis got the same roster. This might be their very own monthly qualifier this time around.
Absolutely. Obviously, it's the beauty of being, you know, when the new game, the esports scene setting itself out there, we get these surprises, these upsets. Let's look at Group B, how things played out there. The Unicorns of Love came out the overall winners, and I gotta be honest, it was quite a strong final from them as well.
I'm a big fan of Coldstar. I think he's got such a good attitude and atmosphere going around him. I love the guy, and I think in general, Unicorns of Love has been a team that, since the game released, they've been doing a lot of community-run tournaments, and because of that, they got one of the most experienced teams and rosters in all of this Group B back in the June qualifier, back in the June finals. Let's see if they can make it happen back-to-back, but there are a lot of big teams in this season this time around, so it's not going to be all that easy for the Unicorns.
Absolutely. Trovenova also doing what they could, came back from the lower bracket, were there in the winner bracket final, did take down Mortal Shot in a clean 2-0, but unfortunately just wasn't enough for them, so they fell in the end. Let's have a look over at Group C. Somewhat surprising, I don't know. Sunlight obviously came through in what was an interesting winner bracket final that yourself and Xcoundra covered.
Yes, a lot of Baron Steel. That's all we'll say from Apollo. I'm intrigued to see if he's going to do that again. Of course, it doesn't happen that often, especially in one single game. But we had an insane finals of Sunlight versus Cut Esports. Cut at the end taking the series for Group C and took it to 0-2. They're back this time around. We'll see if they can make it 2 seasons in a row. But I think the Cut Esports will definitely set himself apart in Group C that time around as the big favorite. And we'll see if they can live up to the expectations on this season now.
Yeah, and it was a very strong finals for Cut Esports going into that as well. You know, we were expecting coming into it. Obviously, they were down from the lower bracket, but really a solid win from them. Absolutely swept aside in some very quick games as well. Yeah. I can tell you, absolutely fantastic stuff. Of course, that was all in June. Everything happened there. So let's have a listen from the teams about what is happening in July.
We are Salty Potatoes. I'm Starboy, the jungler for SP.
And I'm the V9 mid laner of SP.
My nickname is Knight. I'm playing top lane in Fast Play Wildcats.
Hello, I'm Sanji. I'm playing for Act 7. Currently, I'm playing jungle.
Hello, my name is Frost, and I'm currently playing for Crimreal Betis.
Hello, I'm Nick Coldstar, Baron laner for Unicorns of Love.
My name is Gagik. I'm from Mortal Shot. I'm a jungler in this team.
Hi guys, I'm Sanks. I'm the captain of Team of Revenant.
Hello, my name is Vic, and I'm representing Off Meta. I am their mid laner, and my in-game name is OM Capt Su.
Hello, my name is Simple. I am the manager for Searching for an Orb.
I'm Shakrix from 7 Free Agents.
Hey, my name is Ryu. I'm a top laner for Team Singularity.
Hi, I'm Coach Michael and I represent Cat Esports.
I am Leos, looking for Orc Black. We are really confident in our skills and performance.
I hope we will try to
get higher place and show good performance.
Last time we got third place, and this time we're planning on going even higher. We're coming for sunlight this time. We're not doing the same mistake.
We're also like very happy and proud to represent our country, right? UAE, in this like very big tournament.
We feel quite confident.
There is a lot of good teams.
It feels like a really big challenge coming out.
It does indeed feel like it's getting bigger and bigger, Max. And I think the July qualifiers kind of prove that. Some real tough opposition starting to form. And I think the scene is definitely growing month by month.
Especially when you have so many other tournaments happening all over the globe. Like, we're going to have Riku and Yuka at some point joining in, and they have a lot of experience of what's happening in the Icon Series and the Summer Cup. And I can tell you, it seemed like teams from other regions are stealing meta and picks from other regions, so things are getting all mixed up now. So the more you learn, the more you study, of course, the better you're going to get. So the more time we give it, Wild Rift is still in its infancy, really. It just came out just a few months ago. So the more time you give it, and the better these teams are going to get. So I think we're going to have even better games this time around.
Yeah, and I love how you talk about meta, how meta around the world does differ. And that's the beauty of the variation of the game. Obviously, some people prefer some champions, and then that begins strong, and Europe gets entrenched on one side, and America's in the other, and then obviously Asia sort of suddenly comes out with some super pick, and everybody tries to follow it. But yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. So let's look at the schedule for what we've got coming up today. We're starting things out with a Crow Crowd up against the Fast Pay Wildcats, or formerly known as the Istanbul Wildcats, obviously with their sponsor in there. That's how things are going to be starting off. That's what we're covering first, and then of course we'll see how the day rolls out for the other groups. This is obviously going to be over in Group B.
Very interesting, though, for Wildcats, something to keep in mind is that the roster is now is relatively different, right? There's going to be some big shoes to fill this time, so we'll see how they can potentially try and pull through this time. But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued what they can do, of course, coming in hot from Turkey. And I think that in general, when you're looking at Turkey in any mobile games, and especially for Wild Rift, they're one of the biggest communities with some of the biggest fan bases. And you know, good community support can help you go the extra mile. So I'm looking at Wildcats that potentially being the big favorite coming into this one in the matchup versus Crow Crowd.
Yeah, and I'm loving the fact that we're getting all these esports orgs getting behind the teams. You know, it's fun, it's all well and good for, obviously, you know, there's a lot of people out there looking for teams, trying to get the teams together. But with the scene being so fresh, effectively, and obviously everybody getting behind it, they know exactly how League of Legends was, and obviously coming over to Wild Rift, a lot of players and sort of trying to bring that experience and a lot of new, fresh talent coming through, and I absolutely love to see it that way. But of course, these guys, they all had a tough qualifier to get here. Let's hear from the players themselves.
As far as our qualifiers go, I think we came out, we was first seed in our bracket. They definitely did very, very well. They felt that they did so well because they didn't face any too strong teams in the qualifiers. Right now, I've been making sure to get them strong scrims against big teams. As long as they know that, okay, we can play, we can do well against like these big teams, we will be able to do well in the Origin series.
Yeah, we're definitely disappointed by the qualifiers. We expected to win the whole thing, but came in a bit unprepared, I think, and had to go down to the loser bracket because of that. But yeah, we clutched it up and still qualified through. So happy about that one, but not satisfied with the performance.
Actually, we played good. We had some problems with communication. I guess we need to improve our shape for the tournament.
When we get to the qualified at the first match, we lost it. So we had to choose another strategy to qualify for the next match.
The first game, it was a very hard game for us. We had like a very, very, very strong matchup, and like they beat us to the rotations and stuff, and we weren't ready for that. But like a second game as well, we tried like to fix the stuff, and yeah, thank God we got through the next opponents.
We were really feeling good and confident. We had 2 matches and we straight up won both of them. No offense to the other team, they were really good. The other teams were really good, but the wins gave us the confidence going into the monthly finals.
Yeah, a lot of confidence now. They're in the monthly finals, but of course, now that they're here, the competition only gets better and stronger. So we'll see how these teams do fare themselves. We are kicking things off with Crow Crowd versus Fastpay Wildcats. Fastpay Wildcats, of course, they did okay last time out. They were in the June monthly finals as well. I believe the quarterfinals is where they got to. Tell that. Semi-finals, winner bracket semi-finals, where they actually fell to Nova Esports, which is no slouch because Nova Esports ended up in the final themselves.
Yeah, looking like one of the top teams in that group just last season, actually. So Nova took himself into a very good position, pushed it right into the finals versus the Unicorns of Love. So I said it right. This is a new, well, not really new anymore. It's like they've been together for like more than a month now, the new roster from the Wildcats. So now they have a little bit more experience. And I think that 2 month of experience now is going to be really useful. And the more experience you have, of course, the better chance you have of pushing it really far into the event. So as I said, I think that Wildcats could push an extra mile and potentially have a good attempt versus the likes of now the old Trevor Nova, because we got to keep in mind, Trevor Nova, they disbanded. You got a few players now into the new Na'Vi is going to be all over the place. So I don't know. Now you're looking at Group B, and I could not really tell you which team is looking as a favorite because you got so many big changes that happen that the top teams are just almost not there anymore.
Yeah, and of course, don't forget the points will be carrying over month by month. Unicorns of Love, of course, the winners of Group B back in the June monthly finals in what was a pretty strong final from them, no doubt about it. It was a fantastic work. For Crow Crowd, we should talk about them. Obviously, they got knocked out in down into lower bracket and then knocked out pretty quickly. It was Sangal Esports and then Digital Athletics basically sending them home. So for them, they're going to be looking to improve what they did last month.
Yeah, they took a double bonk on the head. They instantly got pushed out of the tournament very quickly. So they're looking back, and which is great, even though it's not, well, I'm saying it's great. That's kind of mean, but it's not great they went out early, but also got to see this as a good opportunity for them to watch out the rest of the tournament and see what happens. You literally cannot miss any single game. So I'm hoping their VOD review was absolutely on point, and the more information you get, the more prepared you're going to be coming into this. So yeah, I mean, there's literally, you can't do worse. Right, you can only go upwards from there on out. So Crow Crowd's got a lot of expectations to live up to, and we're going to see if there has been a few improvements on their side.
That's it. So let's talk predictions. Where do we see it? I mean, from a past perspective, I guess we would have to put Istanbul Wildcats or Fastpay Wildcats as the favorites coming into this one based on what they did last month. But of course, there's been a whole month, a couple of patch changes in between. How's he gonna favor them?
Exactly. That's the thing. And I love going for underdogs typically. I mean, we casted some other games, and I love going for the team that's maybe struggling a little bit. So off the back of that, and I'm hoping that Crow Crowd, as I said, I hope they've done their homework. I'm going to go for Crow Crowd. I'm hoping that they have put a lot of backbone effort into their performances recently, into the community tournaments they worked into. So I'm going to go for them. We'll see if they can try and take down Fastpay Wildcats, because if they did, just like you said, they did way better Fastpay compared to Crow Crowd last season. I think that they can make it happen. So I'm going to be looking for Crow Crowd to take the series. I would say 2-1. I think 2-1 is an achievable kind of record that Crow Crowd could go for.
And just before we get into the game, let's quickly talk about the patch, because there has been quite a few changes since obviously the last month's thing. Anything in there particular? I mean, obviously we can look at last month and say, yeah, Kaiser was like the big pick. Most picked and 67% win rate. It's pretty huge, no doubt about it. There's also a couple of pretty scary picks out there, but of course we should also say stats always vary because it depends who's playing the champion itself.
Yeah, just get good. That's what we're trying to say right now. But there's been some changes that I think are pretty important. There's one that I have in mind right now, which is Fiora. They reduced her health early on by 40 HP, which is not huge. It might not be that scary, but you got to keep in mind that when you're looking at also the runes that Fiora typically goes for, Fiora goes for rune for the Grasp of the Undying, which scales off of your HP. So it does take a little bit of your damage away, so that trading potential could be shut down, but I don't think is that big of a nerf that Fiora's going to be bad. And especially Leon's in the tournament, so no, if Fiora is still viable, Leon's going to pick it. We all know it.
Yeah, we should point out, obviously, all games today are going to be best of threes. So it's not just a simple one and done, because that can be the worst thing, especially when you got pick and bans involved. You know, you maybe just make a bad setup at the start and it completely costs you. Okay, we're about to get the pick and bans underway in just a few moments. What are you thinking? Let's flesh out a team. Let's flesh out a team. What's the prime max team? And don't just say Blitzcrank.
I was going to say 5 Blitzcranks. I mean, you know me so well. Okay, I was going to go for it. I love Blitzcrank. I think he's really funny, and I think it makes every single game Blitzcrank is involved with even better. Though, if I am serious, which happens very, very rarely, so you better be prepared. Facts are about to drop down. Leona. Leona's great. Is one of my favorite supports in the entire game. When she got released just a few months ago, I was over the moon. I loved it, and they buffed her in a really big way. I remember talking with Xscoundrel a few weeks ago, actually last Origin Series event. She was way too squishy, and that is why she was not getting picked that much. But now they buffed her early game by 10 magic resist, 10 armor, and 25 into the late game. Now she's going to be a big, beefy girl, and I can tell you, Leona, if she goes and gets picked into the game with a good comp to follow up, I think she could absolutely shred the competition. So Leona is the champion I want to see in the support role.
That's a pretty bold choice. I don't think, and I'm digging deep into the stats from last month. I don't think she was played once, you know.
That's it.
I don't think she was once picked. That's pretty crazy, actually, because obviously, you know, it's a very strong support champion. Has been played a lot of in the Icon series, hasn't she, recently?
I think she has been played a little bit into the Icon series. I'm not going to lie, I haven't followed it too much. We'll have to ask Yuko and Riku for that one. They had
different
more
hour of the day.
They're the spies. They're going to bring us all the information later. But yeah, she could be picked a little bit. I think it would be pretty interesting. And other than that, also, we're talking a lot about supports here. Braum got nerfed a significant amount, actually, recently. So I think the support meta is going to change. And especially with the release recently of Lucian and Senna that are unlocked, by the way, that can be played in this Origin series, I think we might see some big changes with those two champions being added to the pool.
There you go. Big bomb dropped. Let's get into the game, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Crowd up against Fastplay Wildcats. So, introducing the teams, of course, for Crowd, it is going to be Flops, Queenie, Roz, Fiend, and Nick Eagle. And for the Istanbul Wildcats, it will be Knight, Evu, Simp Bunny, Magenta, and Tatsuya. I mean, where are we going? Okay, we're going to get into the pick and bans in just a second. I'm quite excited to see in there. Okay. All right. I mean, without, we don't have Xscoundrel yet. It'll be here tomorrow. I know what he's going to say, talking about the Ziggs bans, everything else. What are you expecting to be banned out here?
I mean, there's so many strong champions currently. We talked about before the show, actually, about how strong Kai'Sa still is, and she's been relatively untouched as of recent times. Of course, you have a few items that has been tuned up and nerfed a little bit. I think Kai'Sa, if you know especially that your opponent is very strong on the champion, just get rid of it. It's a go-to, especially because now this is the very first Origin series season where we actually have 3 bans instead of 2 for this time around per team. So I would say don't take the risk. If you are going to be going against the Kai'Sa and you're sure about it, just get rid of it. Very easy choice.
Well, here's the pick and bans. Let's get things underway. Crowd starting out. The Wukong is going to be taken out of there, so immediately straight across. Not too surprised. Can be a strong team disruptor. I'm about to get invaded by a cat. I'm fending him off.
No, it's no Ari. Okay, no Ari right now. It's later on, maybe. We'll see. Getting rid of the Ziggs and also the Senna, which Senna, not gonna lie, very high skill ceiling when it comes to supports. One of potentially of the very few supports that can actually carry your game if you play it really well. The damage output is absolutely nutty. And also getting rid of a Gragas. I think Gragas is one of the best. You're having fun over there, man. You're good. You got rid of him.
He's gone. He was desperate. He really wanted to walk in front of my screen. I'm like, really? You want to do this right now? It's like as soon as the thing gets
we'll interview
away,
him.
But yeah, we'll interview him. Yeah. Xin Sao. I wanted to talk about Xin Sao as I did mention at the start. You know, in terms of win rates, I think it had an 87% win rate in 14 games played. However,
there you go.
It was played by Doom of Tribe Gaming 10 times. So, gotta, as I was saying, don't always read into stats too much because it really varies on who actually played the champion.
Yeah, the stats don't mean much if Doom has been playing it. That guy is nutty. He has so much past mobile MOBA experience. This guy is absolutely on board. Though the bans, as I talked about it, Gragas, great to ban it away onto the red side. It is very flexible if picked on blue, so you want to get rid of it. And Renekton, I was talking about it with Riku and Yuko earlier, and they just say it's pretty popular, so you're just going to take it off the table. Though I'm happy to see a Jarvan. We didn't see too much Jarvan actually last season, but if it is played correctly, I think it's one of the best champions in the game if you have good synergy around it. So I'm really happy to see that picked up by Crowd.
23 times it was played. 23 times.
Oh, it's
and
pretty decent. Okay.
And it's only got a 26% win rate.
Oh, that is the low win rate. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, not a great win rate. So we're going to hope to see, again, stats do vary on who's actually playing that champion, of course. So with Lucian, Galio, Olaf, and Malphite coming through, the Ahri being picked up. Oh, I'll tell you what, if Excoundrel was here right now, I'd be losing his mind. Terrible pick.
I would agree with Excoundrel this time. Even though I love Ahri, I love Ahri into the mid lane, but I just want to see more rotations coming out from an Ahri. How are you going to deal with this front line from Wildcats? You got yourself a Galio, you got yourself an Olaf, you got a Malphite that can easily dive your backline, and then you also have those 3 champions that are going to be the front line and serving as UPS for this Orianna. She's going to be the ball delivery service on top of you. I do not know how the Ahri is going to be able to be relevant in these fights, and I don't know how the Kai'Sa is going to get to the backline without getting hit by a bomb of damage and CC. If we're going purely based off the draft, I think Wildcat got this one in the bag. It's so good.
Other delivery services are available.
Also, yeah.
But as you mentioned, I mean, you just look at the ball delivery system that is available. I mean, obviously the Malphite is a given, but that's not even it. I mean, Olaf can just stomp his way straight in there, hitting that Ragnarok, and away he goes. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the first game underway of the Wild Rift Origin Series July Finals. Crow Crowd in Group B versus the Istanbul Wildcats.
Let's get right into it. A little bit of a 4-man face check actually coming out early from Wildcats up top. Surprised to not see Crow Crowd actually try and do a little bit of a cluster around Nick Eagle. I think it would have been interesting with Braum, despite the recent nerfs in patch 2.3c. He could have actually worked out pretty good, but you know what? They're going to take it pretty slow. Don't really want to deal with that early frontline potential from the Wildcats. I think that's a pretty good deal to go for. But yeah, I'm liking these 2 comps, but I put my ideas on this composition out there, D-Man, but I didn't ask you. I'm sorry. What's your opinion on these 2 drafts coming out?
Well, I mean, I like Istanbul Wildcats is picked by the fact that they've got that big front line, real lot of protection for Lucian, as we talked about, the first time we've seen the Lucian out there. So a lot of protection, love the ball delivery system. My only worry is if there's picks out there, and also, especially from, the culling, effectively. Nick Eagle out there on the Braum, put that shield down and the culling is just useless. So there's a lot of counters to one another, but it's I would favor with the Istanbul Wildcats pick for now in terms of their team comp. It's more of a... but that said, actually... It is a team comp. It's not an individual pick comp. It's a team comp. So They have to play teamwork well.
Yeah. Hoping to see synergy and communication on point. And that's the thing. We had those little content pieces at the start, and I feel like a lot of teams that did participate into the June finals did say communication was a big issue. And that's something that over the course of the month, I think it's fair to say here, D-Man, but that is way more than enough time to work on the simple issue that is communication. I think that it should be nailed down to a T, hopefully. But interesting thing that I didn't spot out, and I didn't mention actually, that's what I'm going to say, is that we have then the Lucian into the mid lane position and the Orianna into the ADC roll down bot. So I like that, but I'm having one issue is the Galio into this Kai'Sa. Galio does good into AP matchups, into AD, struggles a little bit more, and with the Braum, it makes it a little bit harder. So I just hope that we're going to see Tatsuya be very respectful of that bot lane composition from Crow Crowd, because it could get a little bit dicey from time to time.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to have to play a little bit passive. And as you were mentioning it, I saw that they're actually pushing the lane quite heavily. So it does surprise me that they were being forced back there. But maybe that's based on mobility factors. Maybe they're thinking the Lucian's got a better chance of dashing out the way of the Ahri. Speaking of which, they're going to have a little bit of a tit for tat down on the bottom side. But Magenta, I tell you what, you can be aggressive with that ball. The attack command can put a lot of damage down. Obviously, don't forget, he's going to be able to just throw that shield on either himself or the support Tatsuya if and when they need it. But Symphony, and this is what we're talking about, that is why you take the Lucian. You can just dash out of that damage. It keeps him much safer against the Ahri and, of course, the jungle invade we just saw there.
Yeah, the pursuit is just so strong, and you can also refresh yourself the cooldown on that ability from time to time when you hit your passive. So you're going to be able to keep that constant mobility underway. And when you are playing against a full skill shot champion that is going to be this Ahri, it makes a very advantageous kind of matchup for Simbani very early on. Though top side, I believe we are currently seeing a little bit of back and forth of Flops taking that fight versus Knight, but we got to keep in mind, right, this Malphite. Intrigued to see if he's going to go for the more AP route or the tanky route. I think that tanky route, especially with this composition, is just way, way better. I don't think you really need to go for the AP route this time around, but you never know. We'll see what they're going to be going for, but Malphite in general is just so strong, that unstoppable force. If you're not ready and you're out of position, it is deadly to deal with.
Yeah, see Nick Eagle run around, wards placed pretty well. In terms of river wards, you can see blue pretty much got the south side covered off there, down and around the dragon, whereas the north side very much covered by the red team. So keeping the protection for the Malphite early on, making sure that Camille doesn't come in and around. Stint Bunny just going to back away, quite confident in his abilities to be able to avoid any damage, backing in the center of the lane. No jungle invade yet from Evu, playing a very passive jungle game so far.
Yeah, taking it pretty slow. I'm okay with that, to be honest. It's the first game of the entire tournament. Maybe teams are feeling each other out a little bit. It's the first game of the series. Maybe we'll see some invades for game 2, or if it does go to game 3, we might see it over there. Gotta be careful there. Nick Eagle's going to be caught out and having to jump over to Fiend, so he'll make it out. But this is the first Infernal Drake. And Infernal Drake here, D-Man, for a Lucian is out of your mind. It just does so much extra damage. That would be a huge pickup for the Wildcats, and it's just not going to be contested whatsoever from Crow Crowd.
No, that's a free one. That is not even remotely contested. What sort of damage did he got down? Because really, it's only the top turret that they've actually put damage down on. And again, not really a great deal there. There's a Protector Ultimatum coming down, and Sim Bunny's just going to have to dash away to the turret.
Oh, wow.
Nothing you can do about that, I'm afraid. A 3v1 pylon. But honestly, you know, I would take it. I would still take it. It depends if they lose the tower here. That's definitely going to be a tougher trade, which it looks like they should to lose the tower. The Olaf coming in, so Evo coming in. And you can see the Braum coming in a little bit stronger as well. They should have tried and help them out here. This is going to be tricky, Max. I don't think they can stick with this fight.
Instantly pop the Ragnarok, though. Going to be taking some CC damage. Does get one. The double taunt. That's actually insanely well played from Tatsuya. And that's the double. Does get traded away at the end, but that's still a win. But the tower was lost. Now I need to make sure that this Ari can defend the top tower to not lose too much at the end of that fight. But another piece of action, and then falling down bot. But it seemed like the clear from Knight is a little bit too strong. And both Fiend and also Knight, Nick Eagle can't really deal with that pressure from the Malphite.
So in the end, I mean, who gains really? A 2 for 2, an Infernal Drake, as you say, good for the Lucian, but losing the top tower. So it was a tough trade for the two here.
And First Blood.
Not a great deal. Yeah, and the First Blood as well. Not a great deal the Lucian could do there. Obviously, completely pinned not only by the Hextech Ultimatum, but also the Jarvan coming in. So double ulti burned on him. But, you know, top tower being lost, not the end of the world. If it was the mid tower, definitely would cost them. And you can see in terms of damage, actually, it is the Istanbul Wildcats that put a lot of damage down on that mid turret. Now they're just keeping their eye on this blue buff. Are they going to try it? No.
Oh, you got to be careful. Instantly, these taunts are so clean from Tatsuya. Forces the flash away from Nick Eagle. Will jump on over right to Queenie in the nick of time. Got to be careful. I was going to say the tower picked in top is great for Crow Crowd if they want to create a priority towards this Herald, but the initial damage that was dealt to Nick Eagle makes it really hard to have a front line in this fight because the rest of the team is literally just damage dealers. Without the Braum, you can't engage.
They're outnumbered. Here comes Magento, so he's going to come in and try and support them. You can see the Irish just tentatively poking in the top there, not going to help out. The Rift Herald will go across to the fast play Wildcats, so well done to them. That is going to be a big difference. Where are they going to use it? Are they going to throw it down in the mid to try and burst out that mid, take away a lot of the vision that the mid turret does give you and a lot of the safety as well? Or will they throw it down on the top?
I think they'll just keep it for the next Drake. It's going to be a Cloud. It is one of the strongest Drakes after the Infernal, very clearly. So if you can just hold on to that one, that'll be great. And when I'm looking at the composition of Wildcats too, if they get that extra move speed, it's going to be really scary for the entirety of Crow Crowd to move away because we touched upon it earlier, right? They're very squishy comp. If you get directly access to Roz's position, Fiend's position, there's literally no escape, and that extra move speed will make it even harder on them. So that is a Cloud Drake that you do not want to give away if you're Crow Crowd. Otherwise, with the Infernal, it's going to make it so much harder for you to deal with.
Oh, I think we're going to see our first team fight kicking off here. You can see just a little invade trying to steal away that blue buff there. Queenie having a little peek. Obviously just took their own blue buff a moment ago. He's double buffed up at the moment, but look at the Galio. The Galio roaming in the river area is just going to get forced away. So Tatsuya just having to be respectful, as you say. So Evu now coming around, just going to take away that blue buff, but we are building for our first real team fight. Last time around, it was given away, a very easy dragon buff given away, and that's a lot of damage done. Quick turnaround, Unstoppable Force comes in, but it's a dreadful one, Max.
Hextech Ultimatum onto Sim Bunny will have to go Golden Force split second. They're trying to turn around. Night 3 man actually CC from the Oriana on the ulti. But the entirety of Crow Crowd is just getting decimated. Sim Bunny doing so much work with his passive, but will get absolutely chopped on down by Flops at the end, and only Magenta will be left ready to go. It's the mini 1v1 currently, a double kill for the Oriana. Can Magenta make it out? But that command attack is doing so much damage, chunking down Queenie, and that's going to be 4 kills actually over to Crow Crowd.
Waiting for the combo.
Great fight, yeah.
Oh, Queenie double buffed up, was waiting for that wombo combo finish, but a 4 for 4.
Oh, Herald.
And let's not forget, the dragon is spawning in 5 seconds, so they haven't even got it. And this is what you were talking about. They're going to use that Herald to distract we may be having seconds out round 2 here as everybody heads for the pit.
The Herald is really far away, though, but I think we need a quick replay onto this one. A really good idea from Crowd, had the intention to go for the collapse, but the instant turnaround, because Sim Bunny instantly has access to the backline, but really good turnaround from also Crowd themselves as they go for the Hectic Ultimatum onto Sim Bunny. But as we said, right, the 3-man Shockwave was exactly what they needed to really build a lot more breathing space, and it did work out for some time, but at the end, they did lose most of their players, with only Magenta remaining at the end.
Here we go. We were talking about it. We're in the pit, ladies and gentlemen. That's another unstoppable force. This time it's working out wonderfully, and they do manage to absolutely chop them down. Queenie's going to drop in there as well. The Dragon will go down. Didn't even see who managed to get hold of it there. They're going to try and get away from this one, but no. Satoru's not having any of that one. Gets charmed out. Takes so much damage. Has to back away and be respectful in the end. It was going to be the Istanbul Wildcats that picked themselves up the Dragon. Don't forget the Rift Herald also pushing around that top as well. They may be able to take this middle turret as well on top of that, so it could be a massive win for Fast Play Wildcats.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of extra gold actually coming their way. You need a quick replay onto this one. Great Glacial Fitter to start things off, but the main issue I have on this fight is Flops is just taking care of the backline. Magenta has that stasis enchant ready to go at literally any time in the engage, and Wildcats really be in the middle of all that, just focus down the Drake and then can very easily get Flops just way too far out of position and then focus down the 2 remaining players of Crowd. So I gotta say, it seemed like the game plan and the communication of Crowd's a little bit all over the place compared to Wildcats. They're very methodical, very by the book. Boom, first go Drake, then Flops, then the rest of the fight. It was clean execution, it worked out great, and Crowd, you need way better fights and cleaner fights if you want a chance to take down this very bulky composition of Wildcats.
So they got the Dragon, they got the top turret with the Rift Herald. That passively worked out for them. They didn't manage to push any further, and it didn't take this middle turret, more importantly, which I thought they may stick around for. But I think rightly so, they did decide to just back away, spend the money, because there's nothing more criminal than having the gold and not spending it. So you go into those team fights, and you think you're in an advantageous position. If the opposition team has gone back and spent that cash and has bought those items, they will be stronger than you in that team fight. So you've got to make sure you're prepared.
Hey, look, you don't know that, but I used to do a little bit of magic with coins and make them disappear. I could do that. I could surprise you, and they'll be like, wow, okay, we'll FF the game. It's okay. Coins can be pretty interesting, but indeed, it is better if spent properly. Mid lane has yet to fall down for both of these teams. The first one that actually takes the first mid lane tower will create a lot more free real estate for themselves to play with, invade a little bit more jungle, put down more vision, and that's going to be where the control starts to really build up for one of these two teams. But so far, we're 11 minutes in. The gold lead is really insignificant, just about the 400 to 500 gold mark, which when you're 11 minutes in, a non-existent gold lead is pretty rare, but it goes to show how evenly matched these two teams actually are.
Absolutely. Very tight between the two. Those two Dragon buffs, though, could be a difference when we come to the next team fight. Certainly seem to work, and obviously, let's not forget the positioning, that all-important position. It does seem that Fast Play Wildcats, with that team comp we were talking about, with the Unstoppable Force being the big breaker, the Ragnarok of the Olaf just bursting onto the back line, trying to chase down the Kaiser. These are the differences, it seems, at the moment. We got to keep our eye on that one, because the Ari can only control one person within that fight. The Brahm's trying to do what he can to defend it. Now we see them grouping up here, actually almost in a dangerous peel position. The Malphite off the side there, they've got to be careful. They're exposing their middle turret, and just a couple more hits, and they are going to go for it.
Oh, the knock-up on the Unstoppable Force on 2 valuable targets. What are you doing over there, Crowd? You're way too deep into the jungle. Trying to engage, flashes out instantly. Queenie with the ulti. And Tetsuya tries to ult in. We're not going to get too much off of it, but the damage up and the collapse from Wildcat was so clean. They're so low. A dive could be possible right now, but it seemed like Wildcats know better than to go for a dive. They're just going to take it slow. That was a big win coming their way, and seemed like Crowd are slowly but surely losing their footing.
Yeah, Crowd's positioning just seems just a step behind Istanbul Wildcats. If you look at that fight, you can see it sort of building. I mean, they're chasing a Malphite and an Olaf, the two tankiest. Actually, tell you, it was Galio up there, wasn't it? It's the two tankiest members of the team that were off at the side, so they don't care about that. And they have this delivery system, the Unstoppable Force, the Galio coming pounding on top of it. It's such a great delivery, and whoever's locked inside that is pretty much dead. Out of it. So if your carries are in there, it's a big problem. But here we go. Ocean Drake spawning. Seconds out, round 3.
Three crowds, got to be careful. They're a little bit spread away from each other. Going to put the focus on a Drake, though. Flops wants to go for the fight with a heal 2 coming up on the Redemption. There you go, Hector Consummate him onto the support. Actually, not really what you want to do. And they're going to try and collapse his backline. Actually got straight up access onto Feeney's going to be just pushed upon instantly. And that's been already out of the fight. You're losing most of the damage for Crow Crowd. And the rest of the team is just trying to leave. It seems like the focus on the tanks is just not what you want for Crow Crowd. They lose everything. And that will be another free Drake as we get a quadra kill. Very first quadra kill in the first game. And it's for none other than Lucian.
Yeah, straight onto the AD carry, and I've just got a question. Just as I talked about Crow Crowd's positioning fight, they chased the top laner, the jungler, and the support, while the 2 carries came in behind them. Yeah, the positioning there, very, very bad. It loses them the Baron. And this right now is looking disastrous for Crow Crowd. Look at this. They engage on the tankiest members of the team, and in comes the 2 carries.
Yeah, Tatsuya literally has 3 players on top of him. He has to press 1 button. It's as easy as that. 1 button, 3-man taunt, and then you have the unstoppable force from the Malphite just ready to unravel literally at any time when you need it. Just call it, and he's going to be ready to go for the dive. And I believe there was information too available at the time for Crow Crowd. So I'm surprised they just went in the unknown and were just so focused on the fight that nothing came off of it. Luckily enough, though, they didn't give the Drake over, but it seemed like Wildcats, they are interested with taking it, and you just can't contest it because when you have an Olaf that's starting to scale up and ramp up, and especially when you have a Galio ready to support you in those fights, Olaf is starting to become a very, very scary Viking.
And they're doing exactly what they should do, right? They've just baroned up all 3 lanes as well. We just saw them, someone go top, bottom, and mid, baron up all the lanes, put the pressure on, keep the minions shoving in, and get themselves a free dragon. And right now, this is looking very strong for the Istanbul Wildcats. Triple dragon, triple baron up already, and you can see they are just going to push. So the focus seems to be down the bottom here. Now be careful because look what's peeling through. The Galio is right there, just going to walk straight into him. He's going to get charmed up, but he's such a tanky target. They're putting so much focus on it. The triple comes in, the shockwave absolutely decimating them, and this is what we talked about already. Tatsuya getting focus. He's saying thank you very much. You can focus me all you like. I am the support, and the carries will do the business. There goes the turret, and they may well finish the game right here.
You almost don't even need the ball delivery service with your front line. That was just an insanely well played from Magenta, though, trying to go for the push once again, get some nice CC out from the Galio, trying to push his way out, flops back to the fountain. Even though there's going to be the backdoor buff on this Nexus, they are relatively low. This could be a clutch play from Ross, but the damage from the command attack is too good. Goes for the re-engage. The health bar's going lower and lower. The Corgi about to close it off, and that's going to be game number 1 going over to none other than Istanbul Wildcats in game 1 here of the Origin series.
Strong performance, strong team fights. We talked about the team comp that they had. We mentioned it was a strong team composition if it was played well. I don't so much know if it was them playing it well or Crow Crowd playing badly against it because they were focusing the wrong targets. It was so often that they were going for those wrong targets. Yes, I get it. Lucian could dodge away, no problem. You can avoid it, obviously, but you know, I think there's 2-3 times I saw 3-man shockwaves coming out as well. So really well played by the Istanbul Wildcats or the Fast Play Wildcats, whichever you prefer. They just played that much better than Crow Crowd, and they're going to have to step up in game 2.
I'm really surprised, and I think it's not even just down to how they were playing for Crow Crowd. I think it's also down to the information gaming, how they were unaware, not checking out their minimaps. We got ourselves a drawing board clip to go through to try and break down one of those plays, actually the play that I think we were talking about right here. And this is going to be when we were at the 13-minute mark. Crow Crowd had what could have been relatively a very, very strong fight, but the overcommitment is really what caused their demise in the grand scheme of this game. So we're going to be seeing so far, we're going to be focusing on the minimap. You've got to keep into account currently what we're seeing is you got the 2 main damage dealers for Wildcats that are in the backline. And so far, there's no information that's been given over.
And you can see there's a ward, though. There's a ward right there.
They're about to go in the bush. Exactly. They're about to get into the bush. But as of right now, they do not know. But you just go a little bit further into the future, and you'll be able to see that now they're pushed on over. Right now, they should know that behind them, you got the 2 main damage dealers of Wildcats chasing and collapsing you. And the main issue is, if you're looking at the entire comp of Crow Crowd, Nick Eagle, the Braum, is on the front line. The Jarvan 2 is going to be off put, and Flops are just fully committing onto the beefy front line of Wildcats. So it means that when you're looking at this one, both Fiend and Roz are the main focus, and they are going to be pushed upon instantly by a culling, I believe it was, from the Lucian. So we're going to be pushing this clip a little bit further forward here, D-Man, and you're going to see it. There's literally no escape. Roz has no idea. Even stop moving for a second. And Fiend is just in the midst of all this, can't do anything, and now you lose 50% of your damage because very clearly Fiend is your top damage dealer in this game, and then it's just play and survival of the fittest for Crow Crowd, but there's literally not much you can do. All the remaining players trying to jump out, rush away, but they're getting killed one by one, and it ended up being a quadra kill over to Sim Bunny. So the initiation, the idea was good, but the execution and the awareness was so off the mark that it just caused the demise of Crow Crowd very, very quickly.
And if you watch that thing, you also saw the shockwave. It only caught the one, but it could easily have caught four. If it were like a split second earlier, it would have been a four-man shockwave. And they were funneled. And as you say, the information, I mean, yes, that's all about communication. That's what it's about, right? This is where the top teams excel. It's not so much your skill in the game. It's how well you communicate as a team. And, you know, in the split second, Jarvan had done the flag and drag. The Malphite went in and caught them, and this is all in milliseconds. So it's really hard to work out. But yeah, it's just that's just the way it went. So it was a tough break for Crow Crowd, no doubt about it. But coming into the next game, you know, you got to be looking at the pick and bans, and you got to be thinking, do we take away that Lucian? Did we give them too much? Was Lucian the real problem? Because I really like the adaptation. You know, we didn't focus on it too much, but the adaptation, the fact is they did switch the Orianna and the Lucian and say, you know what, this is going to be better matched up. So even from the off, they were thinking about what's best to match up. How do we get these carries working best?
Yeah, it's not even that. The Olaf was also doing so much damage, right? And we were not even focused on that so much because you had the big shockwaves and you also had those big cullings from the Lucian with his passive doing so much damage output that it just completely, it felt like the damage of Olaf was underwhelming when he was actually chunking down the health bars of his opponents so drastically. So I'm not gonna lie, I think this was a very big draft diff. I think the draft was just miles ahead for Wildcats, and I'm intrigued to see if we're gonna have a swap off sides and if that's gonna be something that Crow Crowd are gonna try and change, or if they just thought that was just an off game and they might try something similar. We'll see if it works out on game 2.
Absolutely fantastic match. Of course, this is a best of 3, so it's not all over yet. Let's get game 2 underway. So if you just joined us, didn't see that first game, these are the teams. Crow Crowd is Flops, Queenie, Roz, Fiend, and Nick Eagle. And for the Fast Pay Wildcats, Knight, Evo. Didn't quite catch the last 3. Simp Bunny, testing my memory. Damn it, I can't remember the last 2.
Almost there. You know what? Fair enough. That's like you got 80%.
Matter. It doesn't matter. We're going to get into the game. Let's get the pick and pans on the way because that's the more important bit, right? You don't want to look at our faces. You want to look at what's going on with the pick and pans. Let's see how game 2 rolls out.
Hey, checking out the stats. Champion Demon has 80% win rate. All good to see. Though, back onto the draft once again. We got some champions that we're looking at here. Lucian, is it ban worthy now? It looked really strong. This was the very first time, well, it was the first game, so it is also the first time that we're going to be seeing Lucian in the Origin series. I think he made a big statement that champion is definitely scary in that mid lane position, cannot be contested easily by an Ahri, so you got to be careful how you want to play around the champion of that caliber. They're going to get rid of relatively similar champs. You're going to see the Wukong taken away for the side of Wildcats. They have then swapped sides. Crow Crowd are now going to be red. So Gragas, if it's not banned away, Wildcats could instantly yoink it for themselves and play around the Gragas and just put it literally anywhere they want on the Rift.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Lucian being taken away, not too surprising, I think. And the Galio ban, interestingly, coming out from the Istanbul Wildcats, obviously playing themselves in the last game. So very interesting to see that they chose that away, which means that tells me they have something in mind. Crow Crowd just being reactionary, so taking away the Orianna as well. Don't really think the Orianna was the problem. I think it was more Crow Crowd's positioning than anything. But you know what? If you just got beat by it, take it away.
Yeah, I think she was more of an enabler more than anything. Of course, by hitting those big shockwaves, you're going to get some kind of damage. I think it goes without saying. But there was definitely some setups, and it did help Lucian do so much work. Sim Bunny was doing fantastic work. That quadra kill was insane. Could have been the first penta in the very first game. That would have been insane. That would have been huge, but not quite maybe for the second game of the series. But to kick it off was Renekton. I said it, the Gragas being open and not banned despite 6 bans being available for this Origin series format. They're going to pick it up right away, and we're finally going to be seeing Exing Zhao. I'm happy to see it. It's not the easiest champion to play. Doom, you better be looking, man.
Yeah, he's going to be watching his win rate percentage drop, maybe. I don't know. Hope not. Olaf coming in once again for the Istanbul Wildcats. Now, obviously, he was a strong champion last time out. However, for Evo, he did stay very much in his own jungle for a while. Well, didn't get very much involved until he hit level 7, so he was in there for a very long time. Obviously, was impactful when he did come out. And as you mentioned, the Lulu coming in there along with the Corki.
Yep, I like this one. A lot of mobility going to be dashed away with that Corki and also that Renekton. So I'm really enjoying what's happening from the Wildcats and the Lulu Olaf. You just can't go wrong with it. Though I know your favorite is your favorite champion, Seraphine. She's going to be on the Rift this time around. I think it's okay. There was a little bit of lack of CC. There was, of course, going to have the wild growth from the Lulu, potentially on the Olaf or the Renekton. You can just make a very big crocodile. You could be huge. Got the Dominus plus also the wild growth. That's going to be a big croc. You can make a really big bag with him. That's big.
Yeah, so the Braum also being picked in there. So Crocrowd sticking with relatively what they had before, just a couple of changes. But for the Istanbul Wildcats, some big changes for them. And I mentioned that, you know, as soon as we saw the Galio ban from themselves, you were thinking, okay, they have something planned here. That obviously maybe counts as what they have. Let's get the game on your screens and get ready to go.
Right, back onto the Rift. Once again, for game 2 here, Wildcats got himself the first points of this one. We'll see if Crocrowd can take himself the reverse sweep and take it 2-1 in their favor. But it's not looking good. Wildcats definitely, we talked about it, right, D-Man, they were coming into this as one of the favorites, though. I'm seeing a 5-man cluster from Crocrowd, and they have an Ari. You start with a Charm, you hit that one first, that's an instant kill, and you have a Braum. It's CC Haven right now, so that is something that Wildcats definitely do not want to walk into unattended.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to invade with that around there. You know, the fact is you could take that Charm at level 1. I mean, generally you don't want to take Charm at level 1, but, you know, you're definitely going to keep your hand hovering over it. But, yeah, no invade's going to help out. Just a simple leashing for Magenta. And Tansoya down the bottom there. That's going to help out the Olaf, as we say. We'll keep our eye on him. Obviously, didn't go for any big invades. Just very much kept to himself for a long time. Whereas Queenie was definitely looking to be more involved early on. So keep your eye on that Xin Sao. Meanwhile, the top lane, got to give it to the Renekton. Got to respect him early on.
Yeah, of course, Renekton's going to be a big bother, especially in the later stage of the game. Though I would hope to see, and I really want to see this coming out from Flops, I want to see a tank Gragas. I think tank Gragas is just miles ahead of what AP Gragas can currently do. Unless you start scaling and you see an opportunity to stomp, but that's only if you're like in bronze/silver that you can do that. So I would not recommend in an actual proper tournament, such as the Origin series. So hopefully he's going to go for the more tanky route. I think that would be great. But so far, and you mentioned it earlier, right, D-Man, for the first game, no invades. Both teams being pretty respectful of each another, but there's been one small change. It's quite a bit of deep vision from Wildcats set up. You see 1 into the bottom jungle, 2 into the top side jungle. So they might try and set up a jungle gank once they hit that level 5 around the 2-minute mark. Though Queenie got spotted away by that ward. And instantly, the information game is exactly what they need. Queenie trying to dump away. The Undertow does get some severe damage, but will not be the first blood just yet.
Yeah, committed. Flash for flash there. So the mid laner and the jungler's flash. Knight also flashed as well. The top laner trying to get involved in there. It doesn't work out for them. This is going to get caught in the pit. They're both having to double flash. So a lot of flashes being burnt here early on. And we're talking about those invades. Evu really wants to get involved, but that is a double buffed up Xin Sao. You can't. Got to respect that because you get the knock up on the Olaf and he's just done.
Yeah, not what we want to deal with. You want to try and have that Ragnarok ASAP around the 2-minute mark, which you should be able to get there in just a few seconds' time. I'm especially looking for some bunny here on this Seraphine. Seraphine is, I know, a little bit obnoxious. I know I don't like her singing personally. I prefer listening to Shakira or something else. But regardless, the CC that this champion can dash out is second to none. And if it hits the right champions, it could be great. But there's one big counter available for Crocrowd, and that is the Braum. You get yourself that Unbreakable, and that ultimate just gets sent straight into the ether, straight into nothingness. So you've got to be careful because Braum could be the one to ruin those playmaking opportunities for the Seraphine for the side of Wildcats.
We'll see what Riot's audio department can do for you next time out with the next champion they release.
Get
a bit of Shakira in there. I'm not too sure, but at the moment, yeah, certainly a possibility for the. Oh, hello. We can have a bit of a dive down the bottom there. Of course, the bonus with the Corkies. You can always just knock up. And I was talking about that knock up. You got to be careful. You get the knock up, you get the stuns in there, and nothing you can do about it. And that was a simple first blood in the end. I thought he was going to be able to get away to the turret, but Tatsuya, nothing could do.
Welcome to the Braum hype train, and this is going to be the next stop. It's going to be CC Haven. There's nothing you can do against Concussive Blow, despite the nerf, because it had a few issues in the most recent patches. The stun is out of this world. The damage you get from that 4th basic attack onto the Concussive Blows is out of this world. You do not want to deal with it. Braum is, if it takes a fight against you early on, and you have a jungler gank, it's going to proc the passive so much quicker. It is not fun to deal with. So you better be careful, especially when you have so much mobility like Corki. You do not want to be caught out like that. So hopefully things are going to be fine. But these are 2 games there, D-Man, where we have 2 first dragons actually being the Infernal Drake. So that's going to take, once again, a lot of focus. And as Excandal like to say, we're going to have a little bit of a clown fiesta happening in the river just in a few minutes' time.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. You can see that obviously Crocroud's setting up for this one. Istanbul Wildcats a little late to the party, whereas Crocroud are already getting the leashes on there, but they're going to back away. They realize they're being pushed. They have got good ward coverage, both teams actually, so they're well aware of the chance that's coming. 4 members of Crocroud here. They're going to leave the Fiend's actually going to stay on the Xayah way down on the lane. That's a little tricky, so he's going to separate you from the team. I'm not sure I like that because there is a chance for him to get grouped up on the turret there. You can see them just sort of gathering through it, but this is definitely going to be one of those back and forth moments where they just poise and see who can get in position to have the fight.
It's game of chicken, but to see who's going to be the one to initiate first. Seemed like Evu's going to be the one to give in first. You've got to be careful, try and move out, Braum onto the front line, trying to maybe proc his passive down. Gets concussive blows on a valuable target, but not going to happen for the time being, as the Drake's going to be reset, and they're going to send some players in mid, try and clear out those waves just a tad more. They're not ready for the fight for the time being, which is okay, to be honest. I completely understand it, and the vision control is definitely in Wildcats' favor, so if they do have a way to clear it away, that is something Crocroud needs to do, because the information game last game was a little bit all over the place, and that desperately needs something to fix it.
So everybody in and around level 7. Level advantage just ever so slightly is with the Istanbul Wildcats. They've got 4 at 7, which could work in their favor. Dragon going to get started out here. Crocroud starting things off. You see Simp Bunny coming in around the side. Now look for that big Renekton. This is what we're talking about. Got to get the growth on him. There it is. No! Didn't come in time. Got took down, and Crocroud absolutely massacred him before they had a chance to turn this one around, but they are all looking very low right now. Istanbul Wildcats just need to turn and burn on this one. They have the hit points. They have the damage to try and turn this fight in their favor. They will manage to get the other down. The Dragon eventually goes down, but my God, it took a lot of work. Now they're going to see Fiend. Fiend comes out on top. Can he get away? Somebody has to come in with a flash in the end. Gets himself the triple kill, but that was indeed a clown fiesta.
There you go. Excandal would be proud of that one. But Flops, what a steal. He went for the body slam and he got himself not only a kill onto Tatsuya, also got the Dragon off the back of it. That's the clutch you love to see from a Gragas. That is why it is banned last game. We need a quick replay onto that one. I think the lot was unfolding. Very good attempt from Knight, and he actually got some really big AoE damage with the cleave, but unfortunately, he's not going to be the most beefy of champions right now, so he instantly got knocked on down. I like the attempt onto Evu there with the Wild Growth. But at the end, you have Sim Bunny. He's just going to be poking you down so quickly. And you also have Tatsuya just doing God's work at the very end. And the continuous poke from this Corki, there's no escape from it. So the Dragon, it was close, but that's lucky steal was just what they needed. And it did end up being a double kill also for the Xayah. There was a lot of back and forth. I really enjoyed it. It does seem a lot closer, though, from what we saw in game 1.
I think the Dragon got 2 kills in there, really. I think pretty much that's how Dragon it works out. Yeah, Dragon just putting the damage down. And you got to be careful about that, obviously, when you're fighting around the pit. And that's why Crocroud had peeled. And that's actually how it turned so well. Because honestly, you know, they could have just been slaughtered there. But now they're starting the Rift Herald off. Are the Istanbul Wildcats aware to this one? They don't have too many nearby yet. Evu's going to come in. He takes a big full fist to the face, so he has to back away, and it will be the Rift Herald going to Crocroud.
Yeah, Rift Herald, of course, they're going to be keeping it later on for later use. I'm hoping to see a little bit of a better usage from what we saw last game, where it was just popped into their very own base in their fountain. So hopefully they can try and be a little bit more proactive with it and create a little bit of an advantage into the mid lane. I think mid lane would be the best way to use that kind of objective for yourself. So far, almost 8 minutes in, gold lead of just about 1k, not even that, less than that, actually just about 700 to 800 in favor of Crocroud. So nothing really that you're going to say, wow, that's a big gold lead. That's absolutely nothing when we're used to watching some Wild Rift esports. So very slow, a lot of respect on both sides, but you got to think about scaling, I would say, clearly here. And when you look at Xayah, when in terms of scaling, the best scaling champion in this current matchup. So you got to be careful. The later you get, the more scary this guy's going to get, with especially having that Infernal Drake on top of it. She could be that big damage dealer at the end of the game.
Yeah, and in terms of items, I was talking about the fact you got to make sure you stay in there. I do like the Stoics Gate started slowly being built up, so that's Knight at the moment. He's going to be a big tanky menace coming to that next fight. So obviously more so because he got popped pretty early on, separated from his team. This is a little ganker stepping up here, and it may well work out for them. They didn't have any ward coverage there, and that's going to be Braum, though, using that big shield to try and stop it out. That is a massive Olaf coming through for Evu, though, but look at the turnaround. Queenie comes back in there. Flash has been burned already, isn't going to get quite close enough on Magenta, and that was a dive too much.
That is what you call overcommitting from Evu. Used a lot of resources there with also the Wild Growth and his Ragnarok, so that's 2 ultimates down the drain instantly that are not going to be back up, by the way. You got to keep in mind for the next Drakes, and that is not only poorly executed right now for Wildcats, that could be costing them actually the Drake later on in this game. So we're going to have a replay happening here to see what happened. The Blade Caller had a good idea, but the Ragnarok is going to make sure that can't happen. But the heal,
look,
the redemption, he just clutched it up to make sure he was not going to get killed at the end, and it just kept the support alive. And then the great rotation from Queenie allowed them to get a kill and trade it away.
No, I mean, honestly, the setup from the Braum, he waited for the Ragnarok to finish and then bam, stunned him under the tower. Love it. Love it. It was on the triple hit and he just got that 4th hit in there just on the last, which is what completely locked him up on the tower. And I think he took about 2 or 3 tower hits as well. So really well executed by Crowcrowd. Now the invade comes through once again, but this time they're way out of position. They don't really have the numbers. The numbers coming in a little bit late. And the Cloud Drake, of course, just spawning, which is why they're going so aggressive. They wanted to get Evu, the jungler, out of the picture before the dragon spawned, and it would have given a free dragon.
Seemed like I underestimated the cooldowns of the ultimates. They are both going to be back up, except for the Encore. It's now going to be on a quarter of cooldown, so that just got used. And as I mentioned earlier, got soaked up by the Unbreakable from Nick Eagle. You got to be careful. High position. Braum is going to be the main undoing of this Seraphine setup. Though bottom lane tower is going to get picked up. That's 1 plate going their way, increasing their overall gold advantage. They're doing himself a second plate, but no gold's going to get picked up just now. And it seemed like Wildcats are trying to build some kind of gold advantage. They're going to be pushing up top. The Herald, really good usage right into the mid lane to take the big portion of the focus of Wildcats. And that's the easiest Drake I've ever seen. You can't do anything. You can't steal it away here.
Now they're focusing on the top turret. You can see they're giving it up. So the Renekton Olaf up in the top turret. So they will take themselves that down. They will stop the Rift Herald as well. But I got to be honest, Magenta, I would say be very, very careful here because you've got a 4-man coming down from the Dragon. They're pushing. They want to try and get this tier 2 turret, but that's a little too far for them. Flops back in there. Should be able to protect it. So they ended up just deciding, you know what, we're not going to get the Dragon. So they just went for the top tower trade.
I got the impression that this is going to be a very similar finisher from what we saw in game 1 here, D-Man, in the sense that you got really no big gold lead. Of course, you're going to have those dragons. There's going to be Inferno and Cloud. It is really worth quite a bit of gold, even though it's not direct gold, but indirect gold is still going to be a lot of value coming your way. It's so close that I think that you're going to have that one big fight that's going to create such a huge advantage. You're going to get a few towers off the back of it. You're going to get yourself potentially even inhib towers, get access to the enemy jungle, and get yourself a Baron. That should be the big fight you're going to be looking to. As Queenie's trying to jump in, takes us a bit beating to the hands of Magenta, so not ready to trade it just yet. But I think that the next fight that will happen relatively soon, if it's for the next Dragon or the Baron, might be the one to slowly but surely create a huge lead for the winning team.
Again, we didn't really see too much aggression from Evu, really. He's been very passive, just going about his business, farming it up, keeping it going. In terms of gold, it hasn't really benefited either of them. Of course, you can see the 2 kills and 2 assists for Queenie. So in terms of that, it has helped him out. But you can see in terms of the gold, in fact, Evo just carrying about doing his business, keep on jungling, keep on grinding. It has helped, and he's kept himself pretty much on level and gold, which is where we're seeing, obviously, the differences here. Now, the question is, where do we go? Obviously, bottom turret's both low. In terms of Magenta, very tricky for him. Obviously, we've had the top lane of Flops now coming down onto the bottom here, into the Dragon lane. Dragon not there, Baron certainly is. And you don't want to be pushing too much on the top lane either, or the Baron lane, as we call it now. So I'm really interested to see how this is going to go, because this is looking for a big team fight setup. And where do we see this? Obviously, for me, this number of Wildcats, if they were to get into a proper brawl, a proper 5v5, they would be in a good position because they got the Renekton, because they got the Olaf, they got the Wild Growth, they got exactly the support to back it up. But that hasn't been the case so far.
Well, a lot of damage actually onto Flops, but I agree overall. We haven't seen too much of that kind of yet in these games, so we'll hopefully see that. Teams are getting pretty close to the Baron, so we might see a little bit of a threatening happening from Crowcrowd to try and force the fight coming their way. They are seeing quite a few players actually from Wildcats towards the bottom side, so maybe they're trying to create a man advantage in some kind of scenario to get yourself and start building a lead, because I think we're getting to that point where they seem pretty confident they had 2 Drakes, but look at the goal. The farming game from Wildcats has been pretty on point, and now they're actually in the lead by just about 1.5 to 2k. That is not nothing, because if they continuously stay at this point, they will have a pretty decent margin of lead against Crowcrowd in the very first fight here.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the golds in the towers, the 2 towers they've taken down so far. So, the poke potential is always there, really, for the Istanbul Wildcats, obviously with the Corki now doing the work down the bottom. Now, let's see if we're going to get a fight here. It's going to get picked off. Tatui is absolutely done and dusted. Nothing can get caught out there. That's the problem with Lulu. You know, you sit there, think you're very strong, but sometimes you are such a squishy target, and that may well open up the Baron.
Well, it seemed like Crowcrowd woke up on this game and chose violence. Really good CC, goes after concussive blows, plus also the body slam into a chump on the Ari. I mean, you just pinned down, you can't move, you can't even play the game in the first place, so you got to make sure you're going to be escape it. So Flops right into the back line, going to get some bunny, put in a CC format, and no escape from that one whatsoever. Such a big chunky amount of damage, and Crowcrowd, compared to last game, seeming complete control. And Wildcats, this is going to require a lot for them to get back into this game.
Yeah, definitely had a good talk to themselves. Much better peel there that we didn't see in the first game. However, with the dragon spawning, we're going to see them setting up for this one. It does look like that way. You can see that's why the Renekton is continuing to push to the top. But here we go. Let's check out that peel. You can see Sim Bunny just caught out. Nothing you can do about that one. Simply caught out, trying to look forward and yeah, I mean, just contesting it. That was all it was. It was just a Baron bait that worked out. And I got to be honest, this is looking like another dragon for Crowcrowd. This is a real problem.
Yeah, it's going to go pretty low. Can he get himself a sneaky steal? No, the smite is going to be mightier than that attempt to steal from the Corki, so Queenie's going to get that one secured. I'm having real issues with Sim Bunny on this game. I loved his plays last time around on that Lucian, but this time he's just not hitting the mark. He's not hitting those ultimates, and the Encore is just being soaked up by the Unbreakable of Nick Eagle. It is literally the reason why you picked Seraphine in the first place. Of course, she also clears those waves relatively quickly. But if you don't hit it, literally, you just could be playing a 4v5 and you would have almost a similar outcome. So you need to make sure that not only you time them properly, Braum is going to be out of position, or you know as a fact that Unbreakable is not going to be there. And it even got nerfed in this most recent update by 1 second. Is up for 1 second less, so it should technically be easier. But Sim Bunny is still having a really hard time to hit those game-changing ultimates.
The biggest issue at the moment, and I think it's a little misleading in the terms of team fights, is we've never seen Istanbul Wildcats together as a team. They've always had either Sim Bunny picked off, Tatsuya's picked off, you know, someone important to the team fight has been picked off, because that Wild Growth can be a massive turnaround for them. And obviously, you know, with losing your mid lane and your Seraphim can be huge in itself, because you're losing your carry straight away there. So we've got to be careful. They've been picked off too many times. Looking at the ward coverage right now, it's almost non-existent for the Istanbul Wildcats. You know, they've been timed out, they've been swept out, and Crowcrowd are slowly but surely taking control of the map. There's the 2 turrets that they were lacking. Now that turns the gold quite heavily into their favor, and this is starting to become very worrisome for the Istanbul Wildcats.
It is starting to be very worrisome, but I think there's still a very clear opportunity for them to get back into the game. You're looking at the bottom of your screen right here. You're going to be seeing all players in opposing lanes are still pretty close. You still have the Gragas just running with a little bit of a lead, currently on 13.5k gold. There's nothing scary. It's not a full tier 3 item difference. Normally, when you're 16 to 17 minutes in, you would see sometimes teams with 15,000 gold lead. Literally, this is nothing so far. It's just about 2 to 3k. So there's still a very clear chance that Wildcats could turn it back on its head and create a lead out of nowhere. But as you said, they're just not fighting together. And if they don't change that very soon, I just can't see a world where Crowcrowd lose this.
Flops is just keeping Knight entertained down on the south side of the map, while the rest of Crowcrowd do look to try and force yet another fight. See if they can pick off yet another exploration, someone trying to get that ward out there. And I'm looking at you, Simp Bunny, in the middle lane at the moment, making sure he doesn't decide to walk in there, but is instead just going to make sure he keeps himself very much away and carefully he doesn't get picked off like he was before. There's a big chance.
Yeah, there's not much you can really do, though. We did see a little bit of a skirmish happening into the bottom side of the map. Knight trying to take a 1v1 versus Flops, and you can see Flops pretty low HP. That could have worked out amazingly well, but there was such a good rotation happening from Fiend, and it turned up into a 1v2 collapse, and it didn't go their way at all. So very surprised, and it goes back to what he said, right? They're not trying to fight together, and Knight just clearly got baited away. Now it's a 5v4. Now they're going to be looking for the opportunity. That's the instant Ragnarok Qs, and you want this for the engage. This ultimate being down with the Wild Growth, I mean, you lose everything you needed to really set up a huge fight. Yeah, very smart from Crowcrowd. I'm going to give it to them. I don't think that was a fight they should have took because Knight was about to respawn. He was coming back. He had to teleport. They saw it early in his itemization build. He's ready to go. But this is it. This is going to be actually the Elder form going to be ready to take it for the Mountain Drake. So big shields will be coming their way if they can get it. That could be the difference maker as Crowcrowd is looking to take the fight. Oh! Well, that's going to be it. The great fight, the quadra kill actually coming away off Fiend, and she is going to be indeed unstoppable, as said by the announcer. They're all trying to move on out as Wildcats lose everything. That is going to be 4 Drakes plus the extra Mountain Drake, the big chunky shields, and you see how much of that health bar that is truly worth. 20 minutes into the game, and I think we're looking at the end of this game for Wildcats, and we're going to be indeed pushing it to a game 3 right off the bat. Now, our very first game here of the Origin series. Love to see it, a game 3 right away. Wildcats having Naomi and Magenta trying to defend that Inhib tower, but the moment that Inhib tower falls, they are just going to be going even further, lower, and beyond. But yeah, this is going to be the Nexus Bear, open to taking damage, and they're looking to close it off. Oh? Okay, so really good attempt once more. And unfortunately not going to be going too far, but the amount of respect from Crowcrowd, I'm actually really enjoying it. They are not going to be overstepping their welcome, not going to get too cocky at any point in time. The little replay of this fight is going to be due in fact, as we had a good attempt with the on-call once again, but the Unbreakable is just able to soak up a lot of that outgoing damage. As Crowcrowd just able to get himself the Drake. Really good smite plays from Queenie on this jungling. He's been doing some top-tier gameplay in that jungle position, roaming extremely well, and especially, again, every single jungle objective under control. That is the game-changing opportunity. As Wildcats, they just can't seem to take these fights, and unfortunately, they didn't try and take a 5v5 early on. Now they're just completely outscaled by the entire comp of Crowcrowd. And Crowcrowd are just picking them up one by one. It's looking like they put the game from hard mode into easy mode this time around, and after seeing how dominant this game is, game 3, I have no idea how it goes, unless we see one of the most insane comebacks happen this time around for Wildcats. We'll have to see, as D-Man's having a few issues on his side, but he's back, I think.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all
Welcome
good,
back.
yeah. Yeah, the connection playing me up there, as he does sometimes, but I don't know what it was. I could still hear you. We can still hear each other, but nobody else can hear me. That's the problem. Baron Nashor going down and done, and Crowcrowd now in the driving seat with the Baroned up minions, full health up there, everything working well in their favor. This is going to definitely be, I don't see any way back right now. They're going to have to make a howling error, which they've not made all the way through. A complete role reversal to what game 1 was.
Yeah, it is exactly what I mentioned, right? Is that you're going to have that one fight that's going to be the pivoting point of this entire game for these two of these teams, and you had that one fight towards the Drake where Crowcrowd took it for themselves, and then they started building a huge empire of a lead in their favor, and there's literally no comeback. And unfortunately, that's 2 towers going on down into the base, 2 towers plus the Baron buff. They're going to try and pick a few more kills to go and close it off, but that's going to be game 2 going over to none other than Crowcrowd. And indeed, D-Man, we shall be going to a game 3 for the very first game here of the Origin Series finals for the month of July. What a game. It's been a great comeback from Crowcrowd.
Yeah, good turnaround. Just lack of execution. It's like a total role reverse, right? Of what we saw from Istanbul Wildcats. They had a great team comp, but it's working out. But this time around, they were the ones getting picked off. They were the ones losing players, losing members, and their gambit for wild growthing and sending in the Olaf, the Evo, or the Tanky Renekton just wasn't enough. They just got boom, absolutely obliterated as soon as they went in that 1v4.
It didn't work out at all. There were some very clear attempts, but the fact that they were so spread so often in that game, and Crowcrowd this time around, it seemed like their map awareness was so on point. We talked about it game 1, how it didn't seem like they were looking at their mini map, not using it, not even knowing it existed in the first place. And now they just see, okay, well, there's 2 players down in the bottom side. We're going to go for rotation, take the fight, and we're going to get extra kills. And then we can turn it into a Dragon. We can turn it into a Baron if needed to, or get some extra towers in mid. It was very clean execution. This is the level of Wild Rift I'm expecting from a lot of teams in this tournament. And Crowcrowd just really showed that it can be done very easily as long as you pay attention to what's happening around you, to your surroundings. And it worked out great. So now the question is, after these 2 teams showed good performances in their own respective wins, who's going to take game 3? I have no idea.
I mean, if you think back at it, and hopefully we'll see it in the highlights, we can have a look at what happened throughout that game. You think of the very first Dragon fight, the Clown Fiesta that ended up being a 1v1. The Dragon even getting multiple kills in there, obviously, despite the fact he doesn't get the credit, bless him. But the Dragon doing work. But I think this is the first team fight, right? A very, very messy one that could have gone either way. In the end, it was actually the Istanbul Wildcats that kind of came out on top in the fight, but didn't get the Dragon.
You know, I feel like I've been going after Simbunny quite a lot on those encores, but I want to give a huge amount of respect to Nick Eagle. Those timings on that Unbreakable were top tier every single time. It was a sneaky steal from Flops. He did go for the body slam. Not only got the Dragon, but also got the kill onto Tatsuya for a split second. But this is the overcommit we mentioned during that game where Nick Eagle got himself his heal. He pulled it off in a clutch moment and got the heal from the Redemption. And the perfect time of Queenie just roaming so well. And now, once again, goes down to their map awareness and able to change the landscape of the fight every single time with those extremely well executed rotations.
Yeah, and I can't fault Istanbul Wildcats for going for the Dragon here, going for the Elder Dragon. They realize, obviously, it's kind of do or die, effectively, right, at that situation. They kind of had to go for it because they knew the game was already slipping away from them. Yeah. Unfortunately for them, they didn't get it. And obviously, that was picked up again by Crowcrowd. So Crowcrowd just stealing away absolutely everything from them there, from the very, very tight Clown Fiesta of a 1v1 it ended up in, actually, both losing 4 players at the start. But this is going to change up the pick and bans, I feel, quite a bit, because if you think about, obviously, the champions that worked well, and bearing in mind we're switching sides once again, Istanbul Wildcats back on that red side. You know, what worked out well for them was the Lucian, was the Orianna, obviously, but it was also supported by the Galio, the Malphite, the Olaf continuing staying in there. That won't be banned away, and I'm very interested to see what bans Crowcrowd may adjust to.
Well, I have no idea. I think there's so many things you can take off the table, especially of that first game. The Wildcats did play around that. The big beefy front line. You had yourself the Olaf, the Galio, that really left open, and you could have played it again. And I don't think Lucian is the only one that can do what he does. I think you have some great mid laners. If you want to put a Corki into the mid lane, I think that would work out great too. He has similar kind of mobility as a Lucian. Maybe a little bit lacking damage output wise if you do not play correctly around his kit, but I would like to see that. I think a similar composition, it worked out, and you could very clearly see too that Crowcrowd struggled to deal with it. So I think Wildcats should go back to what worked great in game 1. If it's not the exact same comp, that's fine, but something similar, I think, really suited their playstyle and their style of gameplay. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and just lean into it again.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's see what they do. Game 3 is ready to go. Well, maybe it's ready to go. Here we go. There's the rosters. That's what we were looking for. And Kirsty, if you just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first game of the July Origin Series Finals. Of course, the round of 16. Crowcrowd, Flops, Queenie, Roz, Fiend, and Nick Eagle for Istanbul Wildcats, Night, Evo, Simbunny, Magenta, and Tatsuya. I gotta be quick on them.
Damn, that was clean. 100% win rate now for D-Man. We increased it. He's getting better. They buffed him in the most recent patch. But yeah, we've been seeing some great things from these two teams. And we mentioned it going into this series, right? How Crowcrowd, I think a big upset for them. They went out right away, lost into the higher bracket, lower bracket, instantly got kicked out. They were one of the first few teams to get eliminated in their respective group. Now they're actually pushing it to a game 3. And I think this is going to show that they've done their homework and they seem a lot more prepared for this July event.
Yeah, of course. Let's get the pick and bans underway. I think didn't they go 2-1 last time out as well? I'm sure they did in their first one. So let's hope history doesn't repeat itself for Crowcrowd, because they've definitely got certainly showing much better signs this time out. So let's see. Are they going to adjust in their bans? Crowcrowd, are they going to be thinking of game 1? Wukong once again, the ban that they've been going for throughout so far. Both teams actually focusing on that Wukong.
Yeah, don't want to deal with it. It's always been Crowcrowd, I believe, getting rid of the Wukong. Maybe just a comfort pick from Wildcats that they just don't really want to deal with, so they're just getting rid of it. Same also for the Ziggs. He's just so strong in competitive. Ranked games is still pretty powerful, but when you have that synergy on board, it does get really, really scary. And Orianna, this time, once again, off the board. But I just love to see this Gragas ban. I think it makes so much sense when you're red side and you don't want to deal with the flexibility of such a champion. So I have no issue with it, but so far, it's all looking absolutely good in the hood.
Probably thinking if we're not having Xin Zhao, you're certainly not having it. And obviously taking that Gragas away, like you say, Flops did do very well on it, certainly causing a lot of problems. But the Brown Band, that's an interesting one. Crowd used that in the last 2 games. That has been a strong pick for them. Was a big part in a lot of the kills they got in that Dragon lane.
I find that very interesting. But there you go, Crowd. They're going to be yoinking that Lucian for themselves, not going to be giving it over to the Wildcats, and that was something maybe they were hoping to play for. Maybe they thought Crowd maybe can't play Lucian. He just came out recently. We'll try our luck, but apparently it did go against them. Though, this is scary for Wildcats. There you go. We said it. Big, beefy front lines. That's what worked out for them in the first game. That's the reason why they got the win, and their engaged potential with that Hectic Ultimatum, with also the Unstoppable Force from the Malphite. I'm liking where this is going already.
Yeah, absolutely. But Olaf once again, also this time being stolen away. So we're going to have to see different jungle champion for Evu, and it will be the Camille, I assume. There, the Akali also coming in. So now, okay, we could obviously be flexing here. So it could be the mid or the top lane, but the Diana also coming in, and the Galio. They got that big tanky side, and this is a monster tanky performance. Look at the pulls they have. The Diana pulling, the Camille Hextech in there, the Unstoppable Force, the Galio stomping on top. This is just a big team clump coming out from the Wildcats.
The Moonfall from the Diana, plus also the taunt from the Galio, is going to be so hard to deal with. Okay, Nami, we were talking about it actually before the show, right? How that seemed to struggle a bit with it, so I'm hoping to see big improvements. You got to hit those bubbles, otherwise Nami does
great counter.
Nothing. But it's a great counter, yeah.
Yeah, it's like everything that at the moment the Wildcats team comp is to pile in. And that big wave is just going to say, no, you will not pile in. I mean, this focuses on obviously the damage coming out from the Ezreal. Ezreal is very strong, and I say, as you mentioned, the Diana in there, getting in there. But this is a full engaged Istanbul Wildcats. But I really like that Nami last pick there. I think they've read that very well. This is going to be a very interesting game.
Yeah, I really like it. Also, Ezreal. I'm really happy to see Ezreal. I remember before the show, we were talking with Rico and Yuko how it's not played too much into the Icon series. It is pretty popular in EMEA in general, but it has got nerfed. This most recent patch of 2.3C, and the nerf in question is the Arcane Shift has been increased its cooldown just a tad. Not a really huge significant amount, but when you're talking about getting away of those skill shots like the Bubble, like the Tidal Wave, and even the other pieces of CC available for the comp of Crowd, those few differences those few seconds might make a difference really in the fight. So you got to be careful, as that might go against you later on down the line.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The third in the best of 3. First game went to the Fast Bay Wildcats. Second game went to Crowd, both winning on the red side, which is unusual. I just mentioned that because generally is blue side. Everyone always favors the blue side, but it doesn't matter in Wild Rift. It flips around on you. Well, if you want it to. But yeah, let's talk about this because we have potential changes here at the moment. I'm seeing the Camille up in the top there. I'm assuming the Galio is going to come down and help out. Tatsuya roamed quite a lot before and is doing the same. He's going to get that ward down, given the jungle coverage early on to know exactly the route, the path that Olaf's taking.
I actually really like this from Magenta being solo at the start, even though some people might not be super happy with it. The reason why I think it's okay is if you start with the Arcane Shift, you at level 2, where you're going to get it normally level 2, is you can take care of yourself very easily. And that's why I like typically the composition of a Galio with also a Ezreal, is because Galio is looking to roam. He's looking to butt you to butt into you into the lane, into the mid especially. He wants to try and get those ganks, hit those charms, hit those taunts, right, should I say, and even go for the hero's entrance. So that means there's going to be a lot of moments around the map where Magenta is going to be stranded solo in a 1v2. So having that mobility on the Arcane Shift is important. Not many champions could do that, but because they have an Ezreal, Tatsuya is free to roam the moment he hit that level 5 power spike.
Yeah, leaves him all the free time. Are we going to see Evu, obviously on Camille this time around, being aggressive?
This time, maybe.
It's like, crab, where are you? Where's the crab? There it is.
There you go.
Ready and waiting for it.
Oh, he's going to be patient. He's fine. Though, I do like it. Seemed like we did have a little bit of a deep vision from Crowd this time. Going to be checking out. They have the intel to Evu, their mid lane. Big back and forth, but Simboni could very push his way out with the high mobility created from this Diana, which we haven't seen. She hasn't been too popular in competitive after her release. So I'm happy to see actually on the board. The next one I want to see is Riven, but I think that Riven's been a bit forgotten about, and it seemed like in competitive, it's just people just don't like it. But I love the champion design. It's so cool, but not enjoyed in comp. Sad.
So Queenie taking away the top jungle there. And remember, Evo, we've been talking about the fact that he has been very passive. So he's allowing his jungle to be taken away there. Obviously, he's trying to set up a gank on the Knight, but ganking a Malphite under a tower, generally not a good move.
Yeah.
So they're just going to play it passively. But he's losing a little bit. He's losing a little bit. Where's the Diana going? The Diana's... Okay, it's just warding. I thought he was going for the Wolves.
Yeah, trying to move out. Not really a matchup you want to deal with. I wonder what Knight's going to do. This can be a pretty squishy comp. So if he wants to go for hybrid of AP plus also some tankiness to it, I think that'll be okay for Knight because you're looking at Flops, you're looking at Roz, Fiend, and also Nick Eagle. Not really tanky guys, though. Mid lane, some Bunny trying to just get some big damage, some big poke, and chunk the health down for Roz, but not going to be able to get too much out of that one. But we're going to be hoping for the first Drake fight. It's going to be Mountain, so not super important. So we might see some teams actually try and just cross-map, trade away that Mountain Drake for a top tower. I think that will be extremely valuable for whichever team decides to pull that one off because Mountain Drake is not a must compared to an Infernal or a Cloud. You can just easily let it go, and it won't really hurt you that much in the grand scheme of the game.
Yeah, something we didn't really focus on is the fact that it is a double AD comp. So, in terms of tower pushing... Crowcrowd, if it goes long, are absolutely going to be deadly. But we're going to see some serious armor stacking, I feel, from Istanbul Wildcats. So we'll see how it plays out at the moment. Gold advantage, you can see, going Crowcrowd's way. So this is looking well. Is that just simply jungle work, or where's that all stacking out at the moment? Let's try and have a quick scan down. Top lane, just a slight advantage. Just looks like slight advantage here, there, and everywhere. The Crab's going to be picking away. That's going to be important. The vision being picked up just for that dragon, just in time.
Yep, that means they can potentially go for a reset if they want, which would be fine if that's what they're going to do, but they only got 15 seconds, and you can already see both Evu and also the mid lane is going to be Simbunny have already gone back to base. They got their items ready to go and use them into the fight that is normally going to come pretty soon. Going to go also for the Honey Fruits, gets himself some extra gold thanks to his runes, so he's going to be able to hit those power spikes a little bit quicker, get some boots, and some crit rate is also going to be unlocked for Fiend very, very early on. So we know the fight's going to happen pretty soon, but it seems like both Knight and Flops are going to commit to their Baron lane, so this technically should end up being a 4v4 if a fight even happens in the first place.
Absolutely. The first, fight at the Dragon has been pretty messy the last few times that they've engaged one another. This time around, it looks like they're going to be far more patient. Obviously, in terms of Queenie, he's going to have a little look-see. He's going to walk straight on top of a ward, though, so that's going to be pretty well gifted out there, so nothing they're going to worry about that. They are actually grouping a little bit here. I think the more important part is what they are looking to leash the dragon is going to be how it plays out between Sunbunny and Roz, because that could be the pivotal part. They could end up in a 1v1 at the moment. Roz has been punished, I would say, by Simbunny. Obviously, if he catches with that Moonfall, it can be pretty deadly. And you got the dash away all you like, but he's just going to wait for you to dash and then dive on you. So Roz is going to play this one very carefully with his positioning.
Yeah, he's got to be careful because especially the CC lockup potential of Wildcats is huge. Like, I love this composition for so many reasons. One of those being that if you have the on-point accuracy and also timing that this team composition really requires in the first place, there's not much you can do. Nick Eagle will be careful for he's going to get locked up by Evu. We'll be able to jump on out. No Hectic Ultimatum this time. But really, you're looking at it. You got some taunt, you got some CC, you got some roots. If anyone gets caught out from Crowcrowd, like we saw in game one, it is game over instantly. So they need to be very aware with their vision game.
I like how this has played out. So they've basically been almost relay racing back to buy. Everyone's sort of gone back individually, go back buy. Everybody make sure you've got your items, you spent your gold. The dragon fight's going to be happening soon. They're obviously looking to try and put a little bit of damage down, see if they can get a pick, but everyone is sort of slowly going back to get themselves to purchase the items to make sure they're not just sitting on a stack of gold. They can get involved in the fight. They will have the items to back it up. But Flops, once again, back to the top there. Let's see, looks like Knight's going to go up here. So again, just going to be very passive. A much calmer start. 6 minutes in, no first bloods, no dragons, no nothing so far.
Yeah, pretty slow game. It started the same way for all of these games in the series so far. It's been pretty slow, nothing out of the ordinary. I like the amount of respect that these two teams are giving each another, but
Fiend is going to put a lot more damage down, I think. The Static Shiv and the sword in there as well.
Oh, true, yeah.
As opposed to, obviously, the Ezreal. Yes, he's going to have that little spike damage, but it's going to have to ramp up, whereas, the Static Shiv is very important because the comp for Istanbul Wildcats is to clump up. So that Static Shiv could be vital.
Yeah, and Rabadon's Death Cap already purchased for Flops on this Akali, so that could be some really huge single target damage. Though it's okay, they're going to be trading away this Drake. They're going to give it away. We said not really unnecessary. Does go for the
Rift
shot
Herald.
barrage. Doesn't quite get it. But yeah, the Rift Herald, that's going to be the focus of Crow Crowd. Queenie's going to be on top of it. And the rotation a little bit slow from Wildcats. They know they can't get to it. So they're going to give it away. But is this going to be Queenie using it instantly in Baron lane? Or is he going to try and use it later on?
Fiend!
Oh, that was such a good ultimate. The burn damage. He makes it out. Fiend, that was a clutch ulti.
Has Ezreal got True Shot Barrage? He doesn't have it. Yeah, he's used it already, so he doesn't have it. Maybe how to get himself onto the tower, but it doesn't matter. Knight's been dived in the top there. Now, Symphony's coming in, but it's going to be a 3v1. Hasn't got the tower to back him up either. Maybe how to get Roz down or not. Does get Roz, but it's going to cost his life in the end. And, of course, the Olaf's just going to ramp up that damage with that Rift Herald. They might be able to keep on pushing here, get himself that second turret down. Meanwhile, down the bottom turret, they were continuing to push, but they didn't get the turret. The wave coming out from Nick Eagle was enough to stop them.
I was Doctor Strange for a second there. I saw the outcome where that could have been a potential triple kill for Simbunny on the Diner. Luckily enough, though, it seemed like the cooldown did hurt his chances of that 1v3 quite a severe bit. But that's the big tower going into the top lane. So a little bit of gold coming their way too. And now talking about gold, that's a just about 3.5, 4k gold in favor of Crow Crowd that when you're aiming it into the game is nothing just really scary, but if you leave it unchecked, it will start to actually ramp up pretty quickly and get out of hand. It's going to have to check out that fight once again. And yeah, it's huge. They get himself the tower, instantly put the focus on the kill onto the Malphite. Nye is out of the picture instantly. And Simbunny, it's very unfortunate. That would have been a 2-man ultimate. That could have worked out, but Flops being very respectful of the range of Simbunny, did not want to get too involved and gave a lot of breathing space to make sure that they don't get 1v3'd. So it was good play from both sides, but at the end, it will be a 1 tower worth of gold going over to Crow Crowd.
If you just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Begin. And here we are. It is the Wild Rift Origin Series, July finals, the monthly finals. This is the first round of 16. If you were in the winner bracket versus Istanbul Wildcats versus the Crow Crowd. At the moment, Crow Crowd having a really good revenge game. They've got to be careful here, though. That tower is just 1 or 2 hits away from being taken down. The bubble comes in. In comes Flops and the Akali. Knight looking for them to group here. Possible unstoppable force, but in the end, they will just back away. And as you mentioned, the heroes' entrance also can be piled on top of that. But this is buying time for Diana, which is Simbunny in that mid lane to put a little bit of pressure down. Hasn't got a great deal of damage done yet, though.
Yeah, didn't get a plate. That would have been cool. A little bit more gold and free real estate coming his way. Though we are seeing a Trinity Force being now purchased by Magenta. That is going to be a big itemization purchase for himself. So he's going to start to really scale further and further and become that really big, scary Ezreal that you see played a lot, especially last Origin Series season. So we'll see if it's going to be having the long and impact they are hoping for on the side of Wildcats. So next Drake is going to be the Ocean Drake, so not going to be the Infernal. But that's what it means when it's not going to be, when it's Ocean. It's not Infernal. That's how it works. I don't know why I said that, but whatever. That's how the game works anyways. But bot lane is going to be pushed up, and he said it was pretty damn low, so that should be some extra gold potentially going the way of Wildcats, but it seems like they're not going to get it now.
Still, very quiet game. It's almost like they've gone the distance here, right? You know, they've sort of both shown their teeth effectively. Oh, good flash straight into the root there. Good work from Fiend. Fiend putting some damage down. Obviously, got himself that Infinity Edge as well, so stacking himself out. That's going to be the important little Scuttle Crab being taken away. It will be picked up. Very important because it gives you the vision that they need for that dragon that's spawning in just 25 seconds.
To be completely honest, I fully understand what these teams are dealing with and how much pressure must be coming their way. You've got to be careful, though. Will try and jump on in. Does not go for the taunt just yet. Thank you, Eagle. Tidal Wave will be coming out. Trying to collapse, though. Straight going for the backline. Got to be careful. Maybe if we're committing a little bit. Tatsuya will be going up into the air, but he will get instantly smited on down by the Lucian. Great ultimate from Roz. They're going to be trying to put their focus instantly onto the Drake. Big fight from Crow.
That's good. That's important. They managed to obviously take down a member. Yes, it was only a support, but you know what? Hero's entrance could be a big deal here. They still have the unstoppable force to start things off and the Moonfall to go on, and that's a great entrance from Simbunny, putting so much damage down. Nami just melting away there. Simbunny gets on the second one as well. The Zaya gone. That's going to be the AD carry picked off there. No turret to fall back on. Flops in all sorts of trouble. Queenie can't do anything about this one. Roz going to get caught out. In comes Evu, and he will take one down as well. And that just about went perfectly for the Istanbul Wildcats. And, you know, it all started with Tatsuya being taken down.
There was so much back and forth in that fight, but as you said, that was definitely the big reason why that fight came to be as it was. Tatsuya getting picked up early. They lost that potential engage with the hero's entrance, and then they just tried to create an even bigger lead, tried to go straight for the Drake, but seemed like they did not lose their core, and that was the re-engage from Wildcats, especially that Moonfall from Simbunny. Could have been a double, but Fiend played really well on that Featherstorm to try and make sure he denies that damage and the extra dose of CC. And that's the thing with Camille. Sure, she joins the party a little bit late, but she can just very easily close that gap and set up the fight for the rest of your team so they can pick the remaining players one by one by one. It was a good engage at the very start from Crowd, but Wildcats stood on strong and knew that there was already a lot of damage dealt to Crowd. So that is really what made the most difference in the grand scheme of that fight.
Yeah, obviously very strong now. But the irony is that for Simp Bunny, you know, if Nick Eagle wasn't there on the Nami, wasn't in range to Moonfall onto, he probably would have died, probably would have gone down to flops, and that would have been a very different fight. So, I mean, that's just how this really has teetered on the edge of this fight at the moment. Nick Eagle just going to come in, sweep out, get himself that ward down, clear the coverage as they can, because obviously with Baron up, that may well be the next focus for these guys. Still only the 2 dragons down, still pretty even in terms of fight that they've had. Obviously, 1 tower apiece, just the top and the bottom turrets both going down. So still a very, very tight fight. But we talked about it at the start. Istanbul Wildcats have a very strong team fighting comp, whereas for Crowd, they're all about the picks. And yes, they've got massive amounts of damage and massive amounts of push in the waves, but they don't have a great deal of control in the team fights.
And that seemed like it is hurting them quite a bit. But hopefully no action is going to be happening, because I'm going to go back to my point I was going to make earlier, which is I understand why they are taking this one so slow, because when you think about it, this is a 4-day event, and if you lose this game, you're going straight into the losers bracket. You're going into the lower bracket, and any match you lose, you're out. You're done. And that is so much pressure that nobody in their right mind would want to deal with. So you definitely do not want to start your adventure for the month of July in this Origin series in the loser bracket, because that's 4 days down there in a single elimination bracket. You want to avoid it like the plague. So I understand what's happening in the mindset of these teams. That is a very scary outcome if you do not end up winning this game.
Yeah, and obviously Istanbul Wildcats, they made themselves through to the semi-finals last time, so they're going to be very confident. But for Crowd, you know, they fell 2-1 last time out. They don't want to do it again. This time the dive on the turret will not be enough, and that's going to be very careful. Here comes the wave to try and dissipate it. Oh, wow! Unstoppable Force completely whiffs, splits the difference. In the end, they just have to walk away.
Okay, interesting one. Had to flash and use the Unstoppable Force to get himself back to safety, though jumping on forward with the Arcane Shift. Nice shield popped by Fiend. The tower has yet to really get picked away. Oh, really good snipe. Magenta trying to crash that wave in. A lot of damage was dealt to a few of the players of Crowd that we're going back to base, and that should be one place. But Fiend, you're low. I would be careful, because Tatsuya is ready to dive on you any time, and that's going to be the first mid lane tower going in favor of Wildcats. Now that is huge. That's going to start unlocking a lot of playmaking opportunities for Wildcats if they play around the map and the vision correctly. So now Crowd's got to be careful, because their own jungle could be their demise if they do not scout and get information properly.
Yeah, that's what it's all about now, the information gathering game, which is why you see them actually probably going to fight for this Scuttle Crab as well. Evu, the 2 junglers, and Queen Neba just got the support of Roz, so quick and easy for them. This is going to be the top fight that kind of went wrong.
Very wrong, actually. Somebody big shield able to soak up a few tower shots. The Tidal Wave, I like the idea from the Tidal Wave, but you got to keep in mind it's a very slow ability, so you can very easily just walk out of the path of the Tidal Wave and you'll be completely unscathed. So I like the attempt, but really when you want to use the Tidal Wave is when you want to try and disengage or you're fighting in a narrow area. So far, 20 seconds is going to be the Infernal Drake, and we saw it many times. That is going to be one that starts to create a big lead, especially when you're already 15 minutes in. That 6% extra damage output from the buff is huge, so if they can try and secure it for themselves, that'll be interesting. We've seen some also power spikes starting to be hit, so the next fight is going to be starting to somewhat seal the deal for a lot of these 2 teams and players. So they need to be sure they're fully prepared, as we've seen a lot of players stacked up for Crowd. So
if the fight happens now, Ezreal's way out of position at the moment. He's not here. Crowd have got the numbers advantage, so they're slowly grouping up. Crowd didn't really read the situation. They didn't have the ward coverage that they wanted, so they didn't know. And in the end, it's given Istanbul Wildcats to completely group up, form it. Now remember, they have a middle turret to fall back on. Crowd do not.
That's going to be making a very big difference here. Trying to get more intel. I think they maybe initiated the dragon just a bit, trying to poke it, trying to test the ward as us to Crowd if they're going to try and contest it. But what I'm loving too is the Magenta is just continuously trying to hit those pokes to make it even harder for Crowd to find those initiations. If one player's down to 50%, they will just not take the fight altogether. But Wildcats know that they could be collapsed upon at any point in time, so they are just making sure great engage, and that's going to be the CC potentially into the Hectic Ultimatum. The team's really far away. What a great ultimate from Feed onto that Featherstorm, making sure he cannot get linked and pinned down into the Hectic Ultimatum. They're going to be moving away. That's 2 big ultimates down the drain.
Yeah, but it does also use the wave. Now, without the wave, Unstoppable Force and Hero's entrance could be huge. That's a real problem, and I don't think Crowd can fight for this one. They just want to try and come in and contest it. They're going to go in for the smite fight. Doesn't work out for them. Now they're engaged in a fight here. Roz is going to get caught out. There's the Unstoppable Force. The slam comes down. Roz goes gold, but it's only going to be a matter of time. He gets picked off. Nick Eagle will go down. Roz just try and get away. He goes down as well. Flops is going to get caught out, and this has gone very, very wrong for Crowd. I don't think they wanted to engage that. They just kind of misread each other's intentions.
Okay, Simbunny's tanking towers for really no reason here. Maybe looking for the engage once again onto one player is going to be Queenie. But what a great fight from the entirety of Wildcats. They were all a little bit spread all over the place, but really that Unstoppable Force, and you mentioned it during that play, it was definitely a key moment. It did allow a lot of extra breathing space for Wildcats to go for the engage. And Simbunny, he got in line. Now he's starting to be that really scary champion. Look at that, taking a one-on-one, and you just cannot escape even with the Ragnarok. And Simbunny is starting to be that big carry AP champion that really none of Crowd really want to take one-on-one.
Yeah, while the rest of his team take Baron, that's what you got to love to see. So very strong now, Istanbul Wildcats. It does, yeah, sure, it's 2k on the board in terms of gold, but it doesn't make up for just how much stronger they are than Crowd. And this is looking a very good game for them. It's for them to lose now. They're going to Baron up all the lanes, try and force everything out. They've got full control, really, of the lanes. That's going to be the top turret going down. Look, you can see it's got a feather of health on it, so it's going to be a simple case of just sweeping through. The minions will do the job for them. Evo will come through. And now they just need to push. It's all about vision now.
Yeah, going to be having to check that fight once more, just real quick. The taunt, there was a really clear taunt attempt for Tatsuya, but the Unstoppable Force just set the fight up so well for Simbunny. The peeling from actually Thiem was pretty a good attempt, but unfortunately, you know, that the mobility of a Diana is just so hard to really deal with, and then they just picked it up once by one. I love how they created an opportunity, found himself a kill, and instantly shifted the focus altogether on the same target. Shown the communication was on point, and they made it work once again, and then, as you saw at the end, picked an extra kill onto the Olaf play by Queenie. Yeah, they're playing it like a very well-oiled machine, and it seems like they're trying to find closure to this game, and now also this series.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Middle turret goes down. There's bound up minions doing a lot of damage and building up a lot of pressure. You can see the culling was used to simply try and take the wave down by Roz. That's how much they're hanging on here. And it'd be devastating, no doubt about it, for Crowd, you know, to lose 2-1 once again, as they did in the June finals in the upper bracket, sends them down lower. And as you say, you know, it's so tricky down there for a 4-day tournament. The last thing you want is to be down in that lower bracket fighting for your life all the way through. You want that cushion, and that's at the moment what the Istanbul Wildcats are looking to do once again. They found themselves in the semi-finals before. They want to go one better.
One level of security. You got to be careful there. They're looking for every single inhib tower. Connected one into mid, maybe looking for one into the bottom lane. But those Baron minions, we talked about it with Excoundrel last season. They're so insane, man. It's just so hard to clear the wave. Roz even used his ultimate earlier to get an extra 2% damage output on them. But even then, it's just so hard, though. Oh, Finn, you got to be careful. You don't have a team to back you up, mate. Tries to go for the flash, but there was a very nice attempt onto Magenta. But now he goes down. That's the 5v4, and that should be the game for Wildcats off the back of that.
Yeah, giving yourself away like that with the death timers being, 50 seconds it was when he went down. That's really not a good move for him. They're just trying to commit to this, and you can see the Unstoppable Force can just turn it around on them here. If that's what they were trying to do, just try and bait them out there, they still lose it, and you can see they've got to get back. Nexus is very low, but they don't choose to push the advantage. Interesting. They're just going to peel back. They're playing it safe and going back for the next dragon.
I want to be very clear, and I've done a lot of community tournaments and events on Wild Rift, not only the Origin series, and I can tell you as a fact, I have yet to witness a competitive game at this level of play where a team has 3 inhib towers taken down and they make a comeback happen. I've never seen it, and I think I will not see it for months or years to come. It is so hard to execute because you have to continuously take care of your own lane. Baron's about to respawn in now just about 30 seconds. If they really want to steal the deal, pick up the next Baron or the next Drake, and that is going to be able to find closure as CC going in their jungle without too much intel.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing the right thing right now. They're coming in, trying to get the vision down, just trying to protect themselves a little bit. They're well aware that the Elder Drake is now up as well. That's what they want to try and push towards. The Baron, of course, up in 10 seconds as well. So if they could pick someone off now, it'd be great. But they have to make sure they move in a group, a unit. Catching Knight off guard, that's not going to be the one you want. That's not the target you're after. You can a big tanky Malphite. It can just take all that damage from you. Yeah, sure, it's picked him down a little bit, but he'll regen that back.
Yeah, trying to move out. Nice. Saw Fulor Aqua Prisons coming out actually from Nick Eagle. Not going to be able to do too much, especially you're dealing with a very tanky target. This is not AP Malphite after all. But I think what was happening for Wildcats, they're trying to set up a bait a little bit. They're trying to force a Drake, which Cloud Drake, really, I would not fight for if I were them, but Nick Eagle's going to be taking a severe beating to the hands of Sim. Bunny goes instantly for the ulti. And look, he just... It is but a scratch. He's completely unscathed after that one, and now he gets himself the taunt, the big setup onto 2 into the Hectic Ultimatum. Domain expansion is going to be happening so far, just like in Jujutsu Kaisen, and the health bars are just getting melted away, and the focus is going to be right onto the Nexus. Knight is going to secure it himself solo bolo against the Nexus, apparently, and Evo's going to be there to join it up, and this is going to be a great game happening for the Wildcats as they send Crowd once again directly into the lower brackets.
Yeah, the big slaps coming out from the Malphite in the end there, making it work. And we talked about how the strong team comp, the strong tanky game, it works very well for Istanbul Wildcats, fast-paced Wildcats, whatever you prefer to call them. They definitely execute that comp much better than the pick comp that they tried in the second game. It certainly worked out well for them. Whereas for Crowd, there was a lack of synergy, I feel like, in terms of like, what's our goal in a team fight? Like, what are we aiming for? Because it's so hard to get on a Diana. Diana is a tough focus, so Diana's not the focus. But then what do you go for? An Ezreal. And Ezreal's really hard to focus on. So suddenly they're looking for the tanky comps, tanky targets, and there's just not a lot to kill. You know, you go for a Malphite, you go for a Galio. You're not getting a great deal from it.
Yeah, it was so insane to see, because Sim Bunny, he would just go for a fight, he would just like push it off his shoulder like it is but a scratch. He was feeling nothing. He had the shield from the Mountain Drake. He also got himself the magic shield from the Galio, and he was just going so deep into the fight while being completely untouched and able to be so healthy in the process. So I was really enjoying this game. And as you said, it seemed like Crowd were having a real hard time focusing down certain parts of the map. But I think that's not only them doing a poor job at that. I think it's actually
look at this.
due to Wildcats playing it really well.
If Simp Bunny hadn't have gone into the Nami there, I reckon Flops would have got him. And that could have changed the game a little bit there, because Simp Bunny obviously then came away from that kill, I think with a triple kill there, obviously stacked his items out in the end. Big turning point there. And that was just, I mean, it's not Nick Eagle's fault, because you know what? The Diana is very strong, very mobile. But yeah, in terms of team fights, this is where they didn't, I think they got baited. Queenie was going in just to smite fight. That's all Queenie wanted to do. And the team, I think, misread the intention and went in as well. And then was kind of like half in, half out, split everywhere. And by that point, it was too late.
You see how Knight here was actually able to delay his ultimate a little bit longer. That's what I was hoping to see from Sim Bunny on the Seraphine last game. Just wait for the prime opportunity, the prime setup to actually go for an ultimate. And he got himself an ulti onto the 2 backline champions. He got himself onto the Xayah and also the Lucian. And then you just have Sim Bunny's like, well, it's free real estate, man. I'm just going to pick up every single kill in the process. So it was really good plays from Wildcats. A little bit of a icky second game, but at the end, they did show that they were on top of their game, and they're going to send Crowd once again into the lower bracket. I'm sure they're not going to be happy about that one.
No, absolutely not. Fantastic game, fantastic series. They're going to move on to the winner bracket quarterfinals. That's where Istanbul Wildcats going. We're going to go to a break. Next game, be ready in just a few.
Series for the Origin series. You'll be your casters for the second one. I'm Yuko, and alongside me is Riku. So we started the day off with a 2-1. So I'm looking forward to seeing more games as the day progresses.
I know this could be the trendsetter. Maybe our following series for today might end up with the same fate. And I'm very curious how, our second series is going to go.
All right, this is going to be Sunlight versus Off Meta. We have been seeing a lot of bans on Camille, though Camille did get picked up in game number 3. We've been seeing a Malphite. Kai'Sa not that much of a priority pick, even though she had a 67% win rate. So this is going to be the team rosters again, Off Meta and Sunlight. We have the game Donkey, No Folly, Capsu, Trickster, and Nemo 8.
And meanwhile, for Sunlight, we've got Raisin, Solo, Waleed, Mads, and Lido. So very excited for this particular matchup because when we look at their previous encounter, it has been Sunlight upping that 2-0 over against Off Meta. So this is going to be a very, very good rematch coming from the June Origin Series finals, or rather monthly finals.
And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Off Meta will be able to step up, or at least show us what they are made of. This is going to be the pick and ban for game number 1. I will not be surprised if we'll be seeing a Gragas ban, but looks like that is going to be a Yasuo for the side of Sunlight.
Wow, directly cutting off the head, not even, banning out the Gragas, maybe banning out the Wukong that we saw in the previous series, but this time just straight for the target bans. And in the meantime, another target ban, another classic and scary AD carry. Actually, look at that. Sunlight second ban is another scary Wukong, because Wukong can be paired with so many different mid laners, just like the Diana, just like the Galio. So I see the reason why they want to take this out right off the bat.
Also, I know why teams would ban out this Lucian. Still a very huge threat all over the map. So no more extra, crazy ADC that's dishing out damage. That is also going to be a Braum ban for the side of Sunlight and a Malphite ban for Off Meta.
Yeah, this means Galio is open, Gragas is open, so a lot of the air quote anti-Olaf composition is actually on the board and available. But in the meantime, Sunlight will first pick this Renekton, which is incredibly strong. We're seeing a Leona.
Okay.
We're seeing a Leona,
Okay.
Hugo.
I would like to talk to Damon as well as Maxman. Finally, we'll be seeing the first Leona of the day. Pair that off with a J4. But yes, Renekton's still pretty up when it comes to priority picks. And I am just loving this Off Meta. They immediately showed their tanky frontliners, but they are still leaving their opponents guessing who is going to be their damage dealers.
Yeah, all of the tanky frontliners basically, and heavy engage on the side of Off Meta. So I'm curious to see where the Galio is going to fall, because I feel like it's just incredibly valuable. It's so good up against a Pantheon and a Renekton, and it's also so good up against a Jarvan 4 and a Leona, considering these are very heavy in-your-face melee champions. And now they're going to top it off with the Varus, which is, again, they're heavy pokes on their backline.
They just want that very stable and, kiting ADC at the backlines, which has so much range, while Galio, J4, and Leona does the catching for them. Sunlight finished off their draft with a Corki and a Gragas pickup. So I love the fact that we get to see a Twisted Fate here in the Origin series. We have been seeing a lot of him way back, even in the Icon series. But the last pick for Off Meta, a champion we don't see that often, but a Kennen.
Yeah, I feel like, the Kennen has been seen back in the preseason days, and is seeing it return in this kind of composition. This is basically an all-in. Galio, Jarvan 4, Leona, this is just all ham, basically up against Sunlight. So this is the reason why Sunlight really values the Gragas pick, because that is their only way to disengage in case Off Meta pulls the trigger.
Or they can use that as an actual initiate and just, catch them off guard. So, of course, without further ado, we are gonna jump into the game number 1 for series number 2. Alrighty then, it says welcome to Wild Rift. So again, guys, this is Origin Series day number 1. Thank you so much for watching alongside us. Again, this is Sunlight versus Off Meta. So we first started the game off with the usual laning phase. Our champions just going all over the map. That is going to be Off Meta, catch them off guard. Stuns are going to connect. You also have the pokes coming in from the blue side.
Yeah, I think they were looking for a summoner spell burn coming from that engage, because their level 1 is strong. They had the gold card. They basically had the body slam as well from Lido. So I think the plan was there, but, Off Meta saw this coming.
Definitely. Oh, we have Lido just giving that buff a start. Leona, though, I'm just gonna touch up on this Leona pick. First off, I'm so happy we got to see her for the day. Let's see, though. Will they be able to make this work? But now you have Kennen being chased by Raisin, by this Renekton. Of course, Renekton will try to bully Kennen as much as he can in the early game. But Kennen, with those shuriken, looks like was able to put a significant amount of damage onto his opponent.
Yeah, this is very hard. Renekton level 1 usually struggles because, especially, this is a range and melee matchup.
Okay. Oh, that was too close for
Million's
comfort.
fine.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
Million's
He
fine.
is still alive.
Yeah,
that was too close, though.
it was very close. Flash has been burned. So Waleed actually is wearing a ignite instead of a barrier. So that mid lane is going to be a little bit vulnerable now that the flash is gone.
Ooh, that is going to be Nemo 8 being targeted by Lido, but it's okay. Trickster just jumping in with the pokes here and there. You also have Corky just clearing out the waves. Very, very quiet this early on into the game. But Twisted Fate, though, I think he got spotted out by Galio right there. And looking at the Dragon Pit, rather, you have this jungler just getting the Rift Scuttler. More gold, more XP going over to his pockets. And again, the usual skirmish here and there at the Baron lane.
Look at Baron Lane. It is the setup. It's still not level 5 though. We still will not see the Destiny. We will still not see the Skyfall coming from the side of Solo. I think
that is going to be a jump in dive under turret, but Kennen was still able to survive that. What was that? Outplay 2v1, but still they were not able to finish off the kill. He needs to go back now unless he wants to be, a little bit greedy and get the first blood for himself. Razen just still holding his ground at the Baron lane. Here comes J4, though. That's a beautiful flash coming in from Kennen. First blood going over to that Kennen. Wow, what a play with the help of J4.
Yeah, that was a really good bait there by Kennen, and it was just so well played. I mean, Razen had, 2 summoner spells available, so he could have just sliced and diced, used the flash to escape, and just a swift assassination. But at the same time, No Fally was right there near the whole top lane, and it was just the perfect timing. And the reason why they wanted to gank level 4 before level 5 came is because the Kennen will get level 5, which means it's just so much harder to go all in because the stuns are just going to be very punishing.
For someone that gets stunned by Kennen, most of the time in my early games in Wild Rift, I definitely understand their concern. Jumping back into the game, yep, you had this Yona making her way maybe into the mid lane, but Twisted Fate still at level 6. Destiny is available, so he could just visit Renekton in the Baron lane whenever he wants to, but looks like Galio is just doing his best to keep him at bay. First Drake is going to be up in 25 more seconds. That is going to be stunned to see he's connecting, but Leona was able to flash out of that skirmish.
A flash gone for Nemo 8. That's very valuable. That's a huge win because you want to have the flash available. Either flash Zenith Blade, flash Solar Flare, or something to use as an escape tool because a Leona is just so vulnerable. It's pretty much an all-in and no way out.
Resets are coming in. First Drake is going to be a Mountain Drake, and you have J4 still getting that Rift Scuttler. Looks like maybe off meta could have first dibs on this dragon. Corky at the dragon lane being very, very low. That is going to be them. Kennen, you got your position has been revealed, my good friend. But at the very least, the dragon is now back there at his pit. You still have Galio with the hero's entrance. He could just jump in whenever he wants to. Explosive cast is still available though, so I guess this is a lot of initiates basically possible for these two teams. And now you have off meta having the dips on this Drake. Sunlight is still there at the sides. You also have Twisted Fate waiting for the proper opportunity to strike. You have Dragons. The side stun are gonna play, but look at that. It's gonna be a 3 champion Bobby stun. You also have the ultimate coming in from Kennen. It is gonna jump in. You have the hero's entrance and the top will gonna dance. It's gonna be no. Gragas does get bursted down. Now you have Corky being targeted by J4, but the Corky was able to get a double kill. Now a double kill going over TF as well. You have Roa up for this Galio. Gold card gonna connect. You have Corky chasing yourself down. Valkyrie connecting onto 1, killing spree going over to Matt.
Yeah, that's 3 kills over to Mads. He is going to be one huge Corky right after this tower take, definitely as well. And it's just one of those things where the gold card has been so impactful in that fight. The rest of off meta was just forced to back away because they were afraid on where the gold card is going to land, and the rest of the beautiful package, by the way, just cuts off everybody from off meta to join the fight. And as well as that Cataclysm, I think it's a very double-edged sword in that particular scenario, as it basically blocked and the rest of their own team. And Waleed was basically, there were no threats for Waleed at that point, and he was pretty much healthy and was able to do cleanup.
Rip Herald is now up, but looks like off meta. They're still asserting dominance in this area. Also, look, going back to what you said, I do agree. Cataclysm, it basically just stopped their escape route, and Corky was just there with a Gatling gun and just poking everybody out. Flag and Jack is gonna connect onto one, onto two, but it's on are gonna connect as well. But that's gonna be also coming from J4. He does get taken down, gets bursted down rather by Twisted Fate, and now you still have the stuns connecting. Goodness me. Rampage going over to Corky. That's gonna be a flash in. Will it be enough? That is gonna be a no. But at the very least, they were able to push Leona back or make her go back. First turret down at the mid lane, and the blue side, you have Sunlight. They can take this Rip Herald.
That is crazy. I mean, look. They've managed to get Mads in such a huge lead. Why not just keep using that? Why not just keep pushing the issue? And that's exactly what we're seeing now. And they're rewarded with another juicy objective, which is the Rift Herald. And they can open the map up even more.
All right, that I have to agree with. Now we are sitting at the 7 minutes into the game and came back in that very small skirmish.
Yeah, this is a 3v3 all in, and unfortunately the backline was just pretty much out of reach of the taunt by Capru, and it's just a struggle for sure because there's just so much range on the board for the side of Sunlight.
All right, now we are going to jump back into what is currently happening into the match. You actually have Renekton targeting Galio right there, but that is going to be the roots connecting. Stun are going to connect as well. Will Pantheon be able to survive it? That's going to be a yes because he was able to take down Varus. Now, Ensemble going over to Porky. Leona says goodbye. What is armor? Renekton gets bursted down as well. And now OM will be very much happy to get the kill. But you know what happened? They were able to get a revenge kill onto Kennen. And now Sunlight still jumping all in. Valkyrie, oh goodness me. Mads with this crazy plays was able to take another head from the side of off meta and one mid lane turret to beat. The Rip Herald has been summoned at the Baron lane.
I know, Mads, you know how far ahead he is in the game. If he Valkyries into a taunt, no fear. He's able to get another kill, an exit kill rather, after that whole fight under the tower. There's just so many bonuses. Earlier on, it was a 10k gold lead and it's slowly ballooning up in favor of Sunlight.
Now you have Renekton holding his ground at the mid lane. Trickster Rose still waiting for those very game-changing damage from this Varus. He is taking his time. My only concern though is the fact that this Twisted Fate could just destiny his way into the backline, maybe even catch Trickster off guard. So off meta, they need to make things happen. Infernal, not internal. Infernal Drake is now up.
Yeah, it's up. It's a juicy target. Infernal Drake, everybody wants that additional damage. I mean, Sunlight's already painful to begin with.
That is going to be another body slam connecting onto one, but that is going to be the jump in for the side of off meta. Catalyst is going to connect onto two, but looks like they're going to, Sunlight going to go to disengage, and now you have the ultimate coming in from Miss Varus, and here comes the ultimate coming from Pantheon. Double kill going over to this Corky. Legendary for Mads. In fact, a triple kill at that. That is going to be a 5-0 in favor of Sunlight. Rampage B going over to this Twisted Fate. And man, the burst, the damage, the gold lead as well from the side of Sunlight is just too much. What could off meta do at this point?
It's very difficult as we take a look at the replay over here. Really nice Valkyrie, and as well as the Cataclysm over for No Valley. But unfortunately, there is no threat for Mads at this point. They want to focus on him, but they also have additional problems, like Waleed in the mid lane as well on this Twisted Fate. And again, Mads' positioning is just too good, and now it's snowballing.
Now that's gonna be the stuns right there, but Leto, he is gonna be a-okay. He can just, get some damage into his life and still survive. J4 though separated from his team, and now Twisted Fate, he does not have Destiny, so maybe one of the things that Sunlight is doing right now, wait for that Destiny to be up. That is gonna be the ultimate coming in from Renekton, but at the very least, Kennen was able to survive in that very small skirmish Galio at the back line. Whew, the cards coming in from TF really hurts a lot.
I know. I mean, he's already Lichbane, already slowly building towards his Rabadons as well. And look at that triple proto belt. They want to get close and personal on off meta here, and it's so difficult because Trickster is a very low mobile champion. Oh, actually, mobility is non-existent, so he's going to be heavily relying on his teammates. But the thing is, they're more on the heavy engage, really not about the disengage.
And now, looks like it's gonna be back to the drawing board for them. Kennen being chased by that Corki, so at least he was able to survive that one. And now J4, he does have Cataclysm. So let's see if they are gonna go with any engage at all. I believe Sunlight, they are gonna force a one fight before they try and get this Baron. But you know what? Twisted Fate was able to get the last outer turret at the Dragon. Stuns are gonna connect. That is gonna be Sunlight jumping all in as the flash being popped by Kennen. Stuns are gonna connect, but it is gonna be enough. Galio gets taken Pantheon does get taken down by this Galio, and now Kennen says goodbye. That is gonna be a 4-4 now should they want to start this fight. But looks like both teams, they want to play it safely because Mads is still alive. On top of that, this Twisted Fate is still making his way at the Dragon lane.
Yeah, with Sunlight's arrangement here, they can definitely do a 1-3-1 with the Twisted Fate on the side and as well as Raisin here on the Renekton. I mean, they had pretty comfortable lanes, I'd have to say, and no contest whatsoever. And I think this is one of those instances where, okay, this is the time where we could catch people off guard. This is the time where we can layer our CC as much as we can, maybe get a pick off. But unfortunately, there's two global ultimates, semi-global ultimates on the side of Sunlight. So it's very, very easy to even up the numbers.
Oh, okay. Looks like there has been a ward at the Baron area, and now Mads, like, he doesn't care. He's alone. Yeah, sure, I'm okay. I can survive this. I have so much damage, basically. At this point, I believe even Leona is having a hard time tanking or soaking up in all the damage. We just need one solid initiate from either Kennen or this Galio. Yeah, Varus, he hurts a lot. He has quite the kites. He does have quite the poke. Problem is, Sunlight can just wither down the damage just like that. Stuns are gonna play nicely with them jumping in your connect, and we'll be able to block out the escape route from this, of course, Leona. It has to be the Cataclysm be pop example going over to Twisted Fate. Renekton gets taken down. Golden card again. Pantheon jumps in with the ultimate connecting onto the Varus, and Varus gets taken down by this Corki. Sunlight will be able to walk away with 4 kills in their pockets and smiles on their faces.
What a fight. It was Raisin that started it off. And I mean, again, Sunlight has everything in their formula right now to try and finish the game.
Yup, and looks like that is the plan for this moment. Stun's still there, and J4 says goodbye. However, Twisted Fate does say goodbye as well. Will they be able to defend it? That is going to be a no, but looks like Sunlight will be able to get their hands on game number 1. What a way to start the series.
Yeah, it was so many new things. Well, not exactly new, but Pantheon, Twisted Fate, being a pair of powerful, semi-global ultimates in one team is a rare pair, I'd have to say, but incredibly strong when executed well. And that's exactly what we saw in that fight.
Also, towards the latter parts of the matches, Gragas was like, okay, I'm looking for my next target. You're there. All right, body slam. And then everyone just jumps in. Again, Mads being very, very powerful, and his positioning is definitely on point. Twisted Fate was not afraid to actually just dictate the tempo for his team. Came to the point that off meta, their draft is good. I'll give them that. They were able to have these small moments wherein they did shine. Problem was, Sunlight, with the immense lead, they were just able to overthrow their opponents in this game.
Exactly. It is very overwhelming. That's what we saw in that fight earlier. And after that triple kill from Mads, they kept pushing their lead. And I feel like that is, the best scenario for, a Corki.
True. And actually, I was very happy with the Leona pickup. Sadly, no win rate for Leona just yet. So to the teams out there, maybe you can pick more Leona support just so we can have some stats in there, Totally not forcing a Leona in the Origin series. But yeah, Gaia pick, very, very good. Problem was, in the mid game, he would just get bursted down by Twisted Fate.
Exactly. It's just so funny too because Sunlight, Leona was on the opposite. team wasn't off meta. Betrayal is what we saw.
Betrayal Indy. And of course, we're going to jump into the drawing board. Riku, floor is now yours.
All right, I'm gonna do the honors here on our drawing board right now as we get to see the fight in the Dragon Lane. It was the beautiful package that we just saw, and at this point, it's just one of those things where when you see a Corki Mads getting a triple kill this early and a double kill as well on the carries, basically on Sunlight, then it's kind of difficult to get back into the game.
Mm-hmm. And in this specific clip, rather, Trickster was not able to do there much because he did not have anyone to be the front line. And yeah, that is just basically Sunlight again asserting dominance from the early game up until the late game. So I'm actually curious, what could the adjustments of off meta be?
What the adjustments could be. I think their composition earlier looked really, really solid. It could be the lack of disengage as well, because when we look at the composition from Sunlight, Renekton, Pantheon as well, then it's just one of those things where you're expecting them to be up close and personal too. So maybe a Braum could be a good solution, considering that there are like 2 melee champions that are expected to go all in as well into the backline. And they again wanted to rely heavily on Trickster on this Varus. But we'll have to see, because I know, off meta really, really loves their 5v5s. And that's the reason why we saw that composition.
Yep. If the champions are going to jump into the backlines, we are going to jump into game number 2 without further ado. And again, off meta and Sunlight, you have the names, the IGNs of these very talented players. Really looking forward to seeing how Walid will play more, how Mads will step up, how Trickster will be able to just, be that very scary ADC.
I know, maybe they'll go to default again for the 5v5s, as we've seen back in the June monthly finals for the Origin series. And meanwhile, Sunlight really does have their early game strength. They really love their 5v5s in the early Drake. So maybe we get to see a similar composition from what we've seen in game number 1, maybe a Pantheon again, maybe a Twisted Fate. I wouldn't be surprised if Renekton is back again from either off meta or Sunlight.
Yep. And you know what? Oh, okay. I was about to say I want to see that Pantheon pick, but okay, I'm sorry. First ban for the side of the blue is the Pantheon. Yasuo still not gonna be seeing the light of day. So maybe off meta they could ban the Renekton too or get it for themselves. But looks like they're gonna take the queen of the late game away in this draft for game number 2.
Yeah, that's true. There is also a second queen, which is the Xayah. Maybe we'll see the Xayah and Rakan lovers duo combo this time around. I think it really fits what off meta wants to do. Rakan with heavy engage, and as well as Xayah being that late game scary monster. Gragas though taking another disengage option away from Sunlight. So Braum is still on the table. Never mind, just as I've said. So it's gone. It's off.
Can the players hear us? Because it's so sus. I mean, they would ban these champions at the right time. But Malphite is up for grabs, and that is going to be the first pick for off meta. They took out Gragas, a disengaged champion, so why not have a champion that can literally jump in with the unstoppable force?
Yeah, this is very similar to, Canon, but this time it's different, no range, but still the same concept of having the level 5 and then going all in. Now, what will be the pair? I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be seeing an Orianna, the ball delivery system. It's perfect, Jarvan 4, and then the Malphite. Meanwhile, Sunlight does have that Lucian, so AD carry already intact. The snowball potential is also there for themselves, and also a late game insurance in the form of this Nasus.
Late game. I'm actually surprised that they first picked Nasus, but now they will also be picking up that Twisted Fate. Akali had a phenomenal game, phenomenal series in our series number 1. So let's see if off meta will be able to follow up on that. But aside from that, we also have the Xin Zhao being picked up by Sunlight and a Tristana on the other side. First time we'll be seeing for this month.
This is actually okay. No ball delivery system, because I was thinking Tristana would rocket jump in with a ball, and then having the Lulu on the board as well. It really fits so well. But this time, they're not playing around their AD carry. They're not playing around Trickster. They will also rely on their mid laner to deliver the ball, to bother the backline. And it fits so well because they do have a Twisted Fate for Sunlight and as well for Lucian. I think the biggest struggle could be is that they have a Rakan. You are going to get knocked up. You are going to get charmed. So this will be a challenge for off meta to push it to game number 3.
Will off meta be able to answer to the challenge, or will Sunlight close things out in this game number 2? We're going to jump into the game. Alrighty. Wow, okay. Sunlight, hello. How are you guys? Being very aggressive the moment we jumped into the rift. That is going to be Lulu forced to jump back. A lot of damage going over, a lot of health bars being taken down. But Sunlight, after being able to poke Lulu out, they went back to their normal laning stages.
I think this is a huge win because no summoner spells, no heal, no flash. So Nemo is going to be vulnerable, if you will. And this is Mads and Lido on a Rakan and Lucian. This is full-on aggressive. You get the level 2 or level 3 and you have a complete kit for a knock-up and full-on damage from Mads on this Lucian.
That is true. Oh, okay, Trickster. Apparently, I don't think he is gonna juggle the 1v2s. But at the very least, you have a lot of aggressive energy in the early game. You have the Rakan with the Grand Entrance. You also have Lucian with all those single to double target damage. And looking at the mid lane, Twisted Fate is able to push Akali back under her turret, near her turret. But still, things are still pretty early. Let's see who will be able to get that snowball first. You know what? I think it's gonna go over to maybe Malphite, but who is gonna win? That is gonna be Malphite surviving, being able to win that small scrimmage. Barrier has been used by Ryzen, and you also have the exhaust being popped by Malphite.
Yeah, that is the difference. The exhaust versus the barrier. And the fact that, you know, vid game Donkey actually had a better minion count over Raisin. So with that said, earlier on, the minions are going to hurt if you get aggro. So with that, it's a good win and start for off meta.
Akali jumping with the 5-point strike. Looks like he is just trying to harass or give a problem onto Sunlight side. Flawless shot has been popped. Let's see the shuriken flip coming in. 5-point strike being popped there as well. But you know what? Xin Zhao does go with the re-engage, and he said he was the one that got taken down while TF was able to burn down Akali onto the goddess via flash incoming from J4. Akali clicks him to beat, and that is going to be a double kill for the side of off meta. 3-1 on the scoreboard. Gold lead in favor of the team in blue.
Yeah, no value, no hesitation there. They get rewarded with double kills. They even secure the Scuttler as well. And this is a good start. This is a completely different start from earlier.
Grand Entrance being popped right there. You also have the polymorph coming in from Lulu. That's why they were able to survive that small scrimmage.
I guess we'll check out the replay from the very beginning, the exhaust versus the barrier. And again, the minion count. I suppose, you know, vid game Donkey does win over that. And this is the mini skirmish that we saw in the Riverside. The Rift Scuttler secure coming from the side of Sunlight over here. And with that, Waleed, unfortunately, again, this is where you have no gold card, you have no kit, you have to wait for cooldowns, and all you can do is try to run away. And the chase potential from the side of off meta is just really too good.
Grand Entrance in, polymorph in, flash out, but that is going to beat the rocket jump coming in from Tristana. Will they be able to survive? The answer is going to be yes, because Rakan does get bursted down, but oh no, Lulu still chasing down his Lucian. Here comes this Xin Zhao.
Destiny?
A flash out coming in from Lulu. Destiny coming in from this Twisted Fate. Gold card is going to connect, but you know what? Akali jumping in, Akali with the plays. You have, that is going to be her, still focusing on to Xin Zhao, was able to finish off the kills. Runner shot is still there, 5-point strike, stun still there, 2v1. Will you survive? That is going to be a no, but that was so close. Looking now at the Baron lane, still coming in with the 1v1s. Nasus, he is mad, but it's still pretty early for him to have an obnoxious amount of damage. That's why he is just forced to play it very safely. Malphite first kill, come on. He does not have the unstoppable force though, does not have exhaust, and does not have the flash.
Yeah, he has no mana either, so he can't send his stone rolling to Raisin to finish off the kill. And with that, Raisin gets to live another day. But so far, this is not his time. This is not a very fun lane for him up against the Malphite. In the meantime, though, this is a really, really good 2v2 and a good take back from Trickster. They're able to punish out Sunlight's aggression in the duo lane, and it's only because they had the Destiny advantage. They had Solo moving into the bottom portion of the map, and that is the reason why they're pretty much confident in engaging. But this was without the wild growth as well. Capsu actually taking 1 kill before everything else, before this 1v3, 1v2 happened. So I think that is a pretty good win.
I just have to say it. I have to address the elephant in the room. Walid on this Twisted Fate, very, very scary. Oh, that is going to be jumping from the side of our blue team, but you also have the calling coming in from Lucian. Knockup all over the map. You have the catechizing beautifully. That is going to be the wild growth being committed onto Akali. She is going to jump in 5-4 seconds. Again, she is going over to J4, but you know what? That's going to be a double kill going over to Twisted Fate, and they are still chasing Walid, and a double kill for the side of Xinjiao. Rampage, indeed. That is going to be a 1-3 in favor now of off meta. While all of that scrimmage was happening at the Dragon Pit, Susan, Raisin, just getting minions at the Baron lane. Just how we usually see at Nasus.
I know, it was a 4v5. I feel like, Raisin felt like he couldn't contribute at that point. It would be much better if he really did push. So that was the call. But at the same time, you lose a numbers advantage. You lose an additional soaker for the team. And this is why they struggled. And this is a completely different start for off meta. And now we could possibly see, the continuation, maybe another 2-1 in our hands.
Yep, and looks like that's going to be Sunlight just taking their time into taking this turret first. Well, second turret for their side. In retrospect, the other side of the map, you have off meta focusing onto the Rift Herald. Sadly, Twisted Fate was not able to steal that as the shuriken flip coming in for Akali, but apparently he did not pop in with the 5-point strike. So they're gonna pull this out very conservatively. You know what's not conservative? That grand entrance. Wild Growth has been committed as a dash in, but still they were not able to burst down this assassin. Now here comes J4. Golden card did connect, but no actual follow-up from Sunlight.
Yeah, off meta afraid because their AD carry is absent. Trickster is doing a little bit of a split push here.
Red entrance hit again, and that could be a 3-champion knockup ensemble force. What a powerful initiate from the blue side. Double kill and another kill going over to our blue team. But looking at the Baron side, Tristana being taken out by that Nasus. Now, I'm not sure if J4 is gonna jump in, but apparently he did not. Look at the mid lane though. That's the polymorph connecting. Turk and flip yet again, connecting on the Xinjiao. Triforce now available for Solo, but he got bursted down on the turret, which will go over to off meta.
Yeah, this spells trouble for Sunlight. Capsu is getting so much kills. He's 535, already completed his Leandries, and he is gonna be a huge problem for Sunlight, basically. They are gonna be needing their Zhonya's. They're gonna be needing their Guardian Angels, more tankier, because his burst paired with vid game Donkey's, assault, his setups is very impactful in the fight.
Okay, that is going to be our red side. Our Sunlight just focusing on to the Rift Scuttler, but looking at the map for champions at the mid lane, just focusing on Walid. He still does not have Ignite, but he does have Flash. And now, blue side of meta still being grouped together. They have this 4-1 setup with Malphite just alone at the Baron side. Triforce now available for Raisin though.
Yeah, that is a very, that's a good spike, I suppose, for Nasus, but of course he still would want to get everything stacked up. They are going to be relying on the rest of the lanes, like we'll lead on this Twisted Fate, Mads on the Lucian. And so far, the Triforce already coming up, and Lichbane still yet to be attained by Walid. So I feel like that is another needed spike where Sunlight will be more comfortable in the fights later on. But so far, this is off meta being very comfortable right now whenever they want to start a fight.
It's just those kills translating slowly but surely into the W, but Sunlight will definitely not give this up quickly. Not gonna connect onto Rakan, though he still has the quickness should Sunlight want to start something off just before the Dragon will be up, which by the way will be up in 20 seconds. But now you have J4 just focusing onto the buff. Nasus still focusing on that farm. He does have quite the damage though. Roa and Lichman already up for Walid, and we are 9 minutes in. No one's still. Oh, we actually have Rakan. We also have Lulu making their way into the Dragon side. You also have a colleague right there. Wards have been placed, and here comes the Cloud Drake already being focused by Sunlight. You have the Destiny available. You also have Raisin making his way down there. That's gonna be the gold card connecting right, and is gonna connect as well. You have the charms coming in. Will it be enough? The answer is gonna be no, because look at that front line. The calling has been popped, but now you have the Cataclysm being popped at the mid part of the pit. Now that is going to be Tristana being able to burst down because it's fate. Red team was able to get the Cloud Dragon, and you also have that Nasus being bursted down. J4 jumping out, double kill on Tristana. You also have the kill, the last kill going over to Malphite, but you have the shields coming in. Triple kill, in fact, not from Malphite, but for Tristana, and now you have a solo forced to just survive, get out of that fight with just the skin of his teeth.
That is the resets. Whenever you're up against a Tristana, gotta worry about the resets. Gotta worry about those low health HP. Low health HP, that's a double. Your health, basically, to enable any of these resets. Now they're rewarded with this Baron, and a potential steal could actually happen.
Sunlight has to steal this. Will they be successful? Though that is going to be a yes. Red team was able to steal the Baron Nash. Now Sunlight jumping. Only you have the Flak and Jar coming in. You also have the Cataclysm. Killing Spree going over to Malphite. The damage from this frontliner, I tell you. But now you have Nasus focusing on to the Rip Herald. He has quite the damage, and now here comes the other members of Sunlight. Re-engage, the calling beam pop, J4 being taken down, a shutdown on the jungler. Lulu does get bursted down, Twisted Fate at the front line. You have this Lucian at the side. Malphite gets bursted down. Shuriken flip, not gonna connect. Double kill going over to Lucian. 2v1. Will you survive that? It's gonna be a yes, a no, a maybe. 5-point strike. Knock up. He does become golden, but looks like that is not gonna be enough, because when you have 3 champions trying to duke it out with you, plus a Rip Herald, but that is gonna be a ace in favor of Sunlight.
What just happened? It was the Baron in off meta's hands, but just gets stolen by Solo here. And after that, it just fell like dominoes here. With, Sunlight knowing the fact that they can still fight, their carries are still alive. They still had Lido to set up the fight and re-engage, basically. And the fact that Trickster is pretty much low, so again, all the kills basically went to Trickster, and if he's gone, then most of the damage is gone as well.
Yep, and that is just matched with the cleanup. And again, they basically isolated Akali in the mid part of that skirmish. But now here we have Malphite yet again. Mads and Leto just forced to go back. First to go with the recall. They still do have the Baron buff. 19 and 11 the scoreboard. But now, Sunlight, they have the 2-point... Nope, just the 2K gold lead. Earlier it was 2.2. But you know what? The gold in Wild Rift, very fast-paced.
I know. And speaking of gold, Mads is able to cash in. So he is pretty much 1 item ahead of Trickster. 2K gold lead with that.
Ooh, have the ultimate jumping in. That is going to be the flag and that connecting, but he does get stunned. Now you have Wild Growth, and you have a flash out for the side of Sunlight. Will be enough. That is going to be a no, because the Cataclysm is going to connect onto 1, onto 3, but that is going to be the engage from off meta.
Wow.
And you have SL with the disengage. Mads, very good dash. He does not have the culling, but that is going to be him trying to focus onto Akali. Looking at the Baron side, you have Nasus. He does not care. He just wants to get that turret, but the regen, and he is trying to duke it out against Malphite. Who will win?
Who
will be the better tank plus damage dealer? But now, Malphite, he does have the unstoppable force that is going to be committed onto this champion. Here comes Rakan. He was able to flash out, but now here comes the other member of Sunlight. Hello, jump in, dash in. Malphite says goodbye.
Yeah, Lido to the rescue there. Basically, off meta, wanted to take that vid game. Donkey has been winning the 1v1s ever since the beginning of the game. So he knew, especially Raisin didn't have any mana, but this is the time where, the laning phase is basically non-existent, and the rest of Sunlight is creeping back into this game. Earlier, it was a 3K gold lead for off meta, and now it's the complete opposite with the Infernal Drake now in the possible hands of Sunlight.
The tables have turned indeed. Dragon Infernal Jake already up. Sunlight still gonna have first dibs on this dragon, but now you have Guardian Angel available for this J4. That's even the stuns connecting. Oh no, but that's been the one connecting onto the jungler. That's already one ultimate down. That is gonna be the guns blazing, jumping in from Lucian, but still that's gonna be a rampage going over to Mads. 4v5, Sunlight, they could force this, but Akali can still go the pick off. The cards that TF dealt will not connect, but Sunlight, they want to focus on getting the objective, which is gonna be this Baron.
Yeah, no jungler for off meta. This is a completely open and free Baron, but they want to contest this one.
Yup, looks like that will indeed happen. You have the charms connecting onto the Malphite, but now you have Sunlight just duking it out against this off meta. You have the Twitter shot being popped. Akali, you were able to survive. That's gonna be Malphite jumping out, but you know what? He got that in and taken down by that Lucian. Akali saying goodbye. Another blue team ace. That is gonna be a 1-5 in favor of Sunlight. With the Baron still up, looks like they are just gonna focus on this last outer mid lane turret. You have the minion waves pushing in, Flag and Jag, maybe even the Cataclysm, but looks like he just bit too much. He cannot chew at this point. You have the shields coming in, Regen is going to be enough, but you have a Lucian that is going to be him flashing in, jumping in, and that's going to be a dominating Maz for the side of Sunlight, and no more outer turrets for off meta, and no more turrets at the Baron lane.
Yeah, this is another, No Fally just basically woke up from his slumber after getting sent back to his base, and now he's back asleep again. And it's just the perfect timing because he wanted to delay the tower takes against Sunlight, but in exchange, this is 18 seconds on the clock where Sunlight may take this Baron, but I think they may have time because Kapsu is doing his job to try and push the wave.
He was forced to pop flash there. He did not have ignite. Perfect execution is now up though, and because a handful of summoner spells already down, Sunlight says, hey, why not try to get Baron? I mean, yeah, they can try to go with the steal, but we can just box him out. Nice pop in with the Destiny just to make sure that off meta is nowhere near where they are. That is going to be a non-contested Baron take, plus Twisted Fate jumping over to the Dragon lane to clear out the minion wave.
It's going to be a 1-3-1 setup just to maximize their Baron buff. And it is, already a 9k, 10k gold lead in favor of Sunlight. They certainly took this game back for themselves after off meta, pressing the go button time and time again, just because they've got Trickster 637 already. Basically, they will heavily rely on Trickster and Kapsu as well to try and stop the onslaught and see whether or not they can get back into this game.
Well, lead hurts a lot. That's be the flag that connecting onto plus the Cataclysm, but I guess that is just in too deep. Akali does become golden, but will she be able to survive the damage? That's gonna be her popping out with a shuriken flip, but the damage coming in from Twisted Fate came in after. Again, must be a flash in coming in from Rakan, was able to finish. Whoa, okay, he flashed in and took down the jungler from off meta, but now at the base for our blue side, that's be the Polymark connecting, but looks like Sunlight, they do not care. They just want to end the game, and they were able to bag that game number 2. What a comeback from Sunlight.
I know. Usually, I thought it was a trend of 2-1s today. So from what we've seen in game on series number 1, but it is Sunlight taking it back from a 3k, 5k gold deficit, even though Trickster from off meta was slowly ramping up on this Tristana with all the resets. The first fight in the Dragon, it still wasn't enough to solidify the lead for off meta, and Sunlight was able to take the game back.
And of course, I'm sure you guys love that game number 2. Let's have a quick look into the highlights of that game. Man, can I just say that Rakan, this guy, Lido, was very quiet in the early game, but towards the late game, not only was he tanky, but he's killing the other champions, the other players from off meta.
He was everywhere. From early game, his presence can be felt, being the sacrificial lamb to serve as bait, and now saving the rest of the teammates come late game as well. And of course, there's just so many things going on. Kapsu and as well as Trickster tried their best to sort of impact the side lanes and see whether or not they can stunt the growth of Mads, because Mads was a huge problem in game number 1 in this entire series. So they wanted to strike before that came to happen. And I think this is one of those instances where, okay, this is Trickster getting the resets, getting a comfortable position, finishing off targets here and there. And he managed to get that early lead. But the thing is, they weren't able to sort of keep pushing that lead, just the same as what we've seen from Mads in game number 1.
That is true. Also, just like to touch up on the fact that this J4, he had very good cataclysms, but there were times that instead of them being able to lock in Sunlight, it was Sunlight being stuck in there with them. But you have Jace putting in, and this was the point of the game wherein Mads, Lucian was a huge problem. Also, I noticed Lido, he would sometimes be polymorphed just to make sure that his teammates won't. So, that's already one useful skill down for the side of off meta. The re-engage and disengage potential from Sunlight was very strong. It was a good flag and jag, but the moment the stuns connected, Akali was just in too deep.
Yeah, the composition from off meta is reliant on a 5v5, and basically Sunlight didn't give that to them. Okay, we're gonna split you up, we're gonna make sure that the fight is halved, or we're gonna split 1-3-1 and make sure that we have that advantage over your composition.
Whew, that was an intense series. I need to turn up my air conditioning right here, but that was an amazing game to watch. Off meta, even though it's a 2-0, you saw that they could have won it. Game number 2 could have gone either way, but at the end of the match, apparently the sun is still pretty high up there, with Sunlight winning the second series with a very convincing 2-0. Again, we have been your casters. I'm Yuko alongside Ms. Riku. We're gonna hop into a very short break, so don't go away.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wild Rift Origin Series, and we are jumping into Group A. It is going to be looking for Org versus, what was QLS? It's Queto, Spain, isn't it? Clash, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so Clash, Spain. They're both Spanish, to be fair. So hence the confusion. But 2+4, Tyrius, Vejos, Capiat, Hegman for looking for Org, and Ayman Legend, Fowlen, Nomo, Hanura, and the Noob.
Okay.
Speaking of which, here's Max.
That is me. I am Max. Wow, we get. Oh man, we had a great series last game. We were checking it out, and I gotta say, Mads going absolutely insane on that game. So I just want to do a big heads up. That was absolutely great from Sunlight. Can't wait to see what they can do in the rest of Group C. But now we're into Group A, and I think that Group A very clearly here, D-Man, has some of the bigger names when it comes to the EMEA Region 4 Wild Rift competitive in general. You got the big teams, you got the Team Kessos, you got your tribes, you got your singularities, and all that. So now these are the teams that we have very high expectations for, especially Clash and some of the names of LFO actually, that I'm sure that if any of you guys out there followed a little bit mobile MOBA esports recently, you got some really big names, especially Hegman and Tyros, that I have not seen in a while, and I cannot wait to see what they can do in the Wild Rift esports scene.
Yeah, their path here, just before we get into the bans, is they took down Arctic 7 in the first upper bracket 2-1. Then they lost the Game Lord 2-0 in the second game was pretty convincing, let's face it. For Clash Spain, they lost 2-1 Singularity, so not too surprising. Tough team to face in the first round. And they beat eSuper 2-0, and that's why they find themselves here in the round of 8 in the lower bracket. And as you can see, the bans coming in already. Olaf Seraphim taken out, along with the Ziggs and a Camille.
Yep, Lucian 2 going to be taken off the board by Clash. Not too surprised, not going to lie, for a relatively new champion added to the roster of champs from Wild Rift. He's been making a really big name for himself. I'm really enjoying it. Haven't seen Senna just yet. This might be the one. I still think Senna, even though a little bit harder to play, has some really good results to show if it is played really well. And though Renekton's going to be the very first pickup that Clash are going to commit their way to, I find that to be okay. You're not sure too much of what your playstyle and your overall comp is going to be. Renekton can peel very easily, go for the big dive if needed, so you can easily build something around him without too many issues, really.
Yeah, just looking at the match, I can see the screen they have from Game Lord, and pretty much targeted bans on what they played in the previous games. In fairness, those coming out from Clash Spain. So doing a little bit of prep there, but it does mean the Fiora and the Wukong, which was banned out, by the way, in the first 2 games that we covered, out there. But the Lee Sin coming in and the Twisted Faith, I'm really liking this. We're getting some good variation.
Since Wadgetus came out, Lee Sin has very clearly been one of, if not the best jungler for the longest duration, completely uncontested. They've nerfed the Moo for I have no idea why, and they'd leave Lee Sin do Lee Sin things. I don't know what's happening, but he's still completely insane. Though one thing that's going to be a little bit hard for this Lee Sin is that you got some very mobile champions on the opposing side here, and it can be a little bit hard to really pin them down, get that Dragon's Rage on board to really put your team in a good situation overall. So I like this Lee Sin pickup. I think you can't go wrong with a Lee Sin. It might take a little bit more time to set it up properly.
Yeah, absolutely. Corki comes in, and there's the Rakan Zaya. So the combo, I like that combo. It's a very strong one. And we just saw this a moment ago, yes. Max. Means we didn't get the first one, but we're happy. We're happy, Leona.
I'm very happy. I'm happy way more than you are. I don't know why I'm flexing on that. I don't know why. I love Leona. I think there was, of course, a few issues. It did not go as planned last series when we did see the Leona get played. She's a little bit more tanky, but it does not mean you want to get into the thick of it too quickly. You are still going to get mowed down relatively quickly, so you've got to be a little bit careful. But when you have Leona on your team, what you want to do, go for that big ultimate, go for the Zenith Blade, hit CC after CC onto a single target, then things could be working out just fine.
Well, let's get the game ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. It's Group A. It's the European scene. Let's see what they bring to the table.
We're going to see indeed. Dimman, before this game, you told me, hey, you got to be quicker to gain game. There you go, because I know. It's typical. It's typical in any esports. Caster, stop talk, start game. We start game. Okay, we're into it. We're on the Wild Rift once again, as we're going to be ready for our third and final series of the day to kick off this first day of the Origin series for the month of July. Clash versus Looking for Org. And I said it, Looking for Org, a lot of big names, especially Veos, right? He's been into the scene for the longest time. Switch side, switch Org now. And he's with the boys of Tyras and also Hegman, but Hegman has been known as a great Alistar one-trick. So I'm really intrigued to see what his take is going to be on this champion of Leona.
Absolutely. We'll see how it works out. Gets the leash there as Emperor Duck for this jungler. And I want to see how aggressive these junglers are going to be. I'm already seeing the Leona. Look at this. The two supports having to just cover out there. So early ward coverage, just checking the jungle path in. And I think we're going to see Lee Sin possibly trying to get onto Hegman here. No, Hegman's not going to fall for that. Just takes the safe path back. Yeah. And we'll be safe in lane.
I'm not going to lie. If we're talking about expectations coming into this event and which teams I think could be upsetting and surprising the top, I think the Looking for All very clearly is one of those teams. They got so many big names. I haven't seen them play yet in competitive, which they still that X factor in my mind as to how well can they could perform into a competitive environment. We'll see. Grand Engine's going to be avoided away. Nice Valkyrie away actually from Capalog, but going to be falling, trying to join up. Unfortunately, hits the minions, so can't quite dash on top of both Hegman or Capalog, so nothing will really come out of it. But I said, this could be the big surprise team, so you've got to keep tabs on them because they could be at the very end of this event.
Just trying to get a little bit of lane tax there, but they are actually going to peel. There's a big fight brewing here into the middle of the river. You can see they're going to go in. Fallon goes in. That's a great knock-up coming out from the noob there, trying to catch on towards them, but it doesn't get the kill that he's looking for. Nomo's kind of split target, doesn't know really wants to go. And Veos will get away from that, and Hegman with absolutely nothing gets himself the honey fruit down, but early engaged, nothing really coming from it though in terms of kills.
Lucky lads of LFO. They're able to just barely make it out of the grasp of Clash, and they will be able to go back to base, give themselves some extra items, but that's going to be offering the Scuttle control, at least the bottom Scuttle control over to Clash. Though nice golden start onto Veos, going to use the body slam to move away into the Grand Entrance. Nice flash forward actually from the noob, and that's going to be the first blood over to Clash as they initiate this one off properly. Try to go for the double Scuttle control, but seem like they want to get the kill to Aman Legend, and he's trying to push away from his tower, but gets the shot in time, and also does the ignite. Blink could maybe get a sneaky kill here.
Yeah, absolutely baited him in there, trying to get the knockup, but he may just turn it straight around, and he does.
Fake monkey.
Not get it. Gets just the fake monkey. But going back to the Gragas in the mid, like the Vegas, I felt just got a little. Are we going to see it here? Yeah, we are. I think just way too confident. He knew there was a lot of players still around the area. He knew they were still in and around the middle river. Obviously, getting that Scuttle control. So just pushed way out lane too much when knowing that the threat was still there.
I think it's a little bit hard, especially to be like in your mindset, oh, we're 2 minutes in the game. Yeah, we're going to get 3-man ganks. It doesn't happen an insane amount of times, but it goes to show how proactive Clash are actually seeming to be. They are trying to create a lead, especially with a scaling composition like this, when you do have yourself a Xayah and also a Renekton. They are two champions that can very easily just be out of grasp super quickly if you do allow them to actually get a significant lead, if in terms of kills, gold, objectives coming their way. It is scary, and I think that Clash understand what their win condition is to try and get an early lead and build something on top of that. So they need a strong base, and the strong base, you build it minute 1 into the game of Wild Rift. So that's, at least in my eyes, what they're going to try and attempt to achieve in this game.
The pick potential also very much there. Iron Legend trying to bait this one out again on Enter Duck. Can he get the stun down on the
no!
tower? No, he's going to get the fruit as well. And Iron Legend's just taking too much damage in the end there. Will back away, but does have that big tanky buff. But again, Fowlen coming in, not able to connect with the kick.
Yeah. Normally we were joking about this during rehearsals for the show, saying, the honey fruit OP. It kind of good, though. It did kind of help out Emperor Duck, not gonna lie. He tried to take the grand challenge onto the ultimate, take a one-on-one, but that's the thing that you like so much, is that you can very easily roam around the map with the composition of Clash, and you also have that big map presence of nothing Nomo with that ultimate.
Oh, the fight before they get here. That's going to be too slow. Yeah, they've gone for the early engage here, and the rest of the team now finally arriving. Here comes the Fiora, so has just gone back to buy. Should be able to get the noob down on the left-hand side there. Meanwhile, Veo's going in. That's a big barrel coming down. Not going to be able to get away from this one. Should be able to get a double. They can certainly push the tower if they can juggle the aggro right. They catch it with the barrel, and in the end, it works out well for looking for Org. Now, that was a scattered fight. We were checking in the replay. They were all back to base buy-in, so they were coming in one by one, and Fowlen trying to just get in. He's going to get caught out. He just wanted to get in and try and smite.
Yeah, maybe not worth it there. Again, losing full lane, you got to be careful while you're playing that one. Now there's going to be a big lead being created. 5 minutes in, 4 kills over into LFO and 2 kills over to Clash. Indeed, we're going to have the replay you were asking for. The double-man grand entrance was huge into the quickness. He's getting some extra CC. But then you have that huge explosive cast trying to move all of the players of Clash away from each another. It's making it really hard, and because of that, the noob just can't reposition. And there's it. Veos onto the front line. Blade Cooler could have been huge, but unfortunately, it seemed like the cooldown was just not there this time.
And Capalot was just untouched the entire time. Perfect positioning. You know, he was on the outside. He was up in around the blue buffer area. Got himself the free coverage. Got himself the spray down. Quick little delivery of the package. Zooms across. Keeps himself completely clean. So really well played by him. It is going to be the bottom turret traded for the middle turret, it seems here. They're going to dive onto Nomo. Nomo should go down here. Yeah, juggled nicely. Capalot will be pretty low coming out of this one, but will be safe unless the noob decides to jump on this, which I'd be surprised. I say a surprise. He's going to get the health here, yeah.
Yeah, got to be careful. Hegman's going to be the tower dive mastermind, able to use the package.
Oh, the
package moves away, but nice CC actually. Got to be careful. Quickness connects onto Tyru. Is going to be able to move away. The Fang Monkey is going to be actually able to serve as bait. But all the health bars of all the players so far of LFO is just going so low. Looking for Org, really struggling. The struggle bus is going wild. But they overstep their welcome, and the assist from behind. What a turnaround, actually, from looking for Org. But it's still extremely low, and A-Man Legend wants to fully commit his way into this fight.
Oh, he sees the tower dive. He sees them all. He sees them all so low. And he's just thinking, I want it. He's got the ward there. Might be able to pick them off one by one. They try and go for the lockup, and he can just get the slice. Can he manage to get the health steal back? Oh, no, they're on absolutely nothing. Nomo now coming in. He fancies it, but they all get away with nothing. Max, what a different game we have here than we just saw in Group B.
Okay, looking forward, you just got away with murder. That is not okay. That is illegal. They were just all solo. One more attack or anything, you would have just blown on them a little bit, and they were done. So that was definitely a close fight for sure, but not too much really came out of it in the grand scheme. And now the Herald is going to be up for the taking. All of the players went back to base, reset, got the items, ready for another big 5-on-5 skirmish. And what we've seen so far, it does seem like there is a little bit of a lead created in favor of looking for Orb, but not all the ultimates available, especially the Wukong is currently missing in the grand scheme of this game.
Yeah, and the noob looking for a big knock-up here as well, looking to see what he can get, make it work, but don't forget about that Wukong. He can spin to win, catching straight on there. There's the big Leona, the Sunfall comes straight in, doesn't manage to catch him very low, but the kick saves him. And almost the blue ball took down Nomo there as well as he walked past, but they all back away. Nobody dies. Rift Arrow goes to LFO.
I don't care, man. Nomo, you got to buy a drink over to Fallen for that one. He deserves it, but it seemed like Fallen will go down at the very end of that fight. And with the Herald, they are just taking everything. They're not just taking a game. They are running away with the game currently, G-Man. And then it's Blade connects. They're going to be forcing away the Featherstorm away. What a great explosive cast. Puts everyone on just a silver platter to pick up, as Clash will be able to just keep themselves 3 players alive. Renekton's trying to split push, but you're losing 2,000 mid for 1 Herald. That is clearly not worth it. And Hegman is going for dive after dive after dive. This is Clash just getting literally cyberbullied in this game.
They will finally take down, and that's a tier 2 turret falling as well. So great push with the Rift Herald. Yes, they lost 3 people, but they'll take it quite happily there. And it's working out well, but this is a very aggressive game. We can tell we're back into Group A here, all looking for blood. 7 kills to 11 already. Dragon coming up in 20 seconds.
Okay, we'll have to go back onto this fight. I love this start of the fight. It was really clean. They were not getting too overzealous, but then Clash is just getting destroyed by those explosive casts, and it's really hard to deal with a good and well-played Gragas. Clash, understandably so, saw their health bar being so low, but you got to be careful you engage it. They're peeling the amount of CC that's available from the composition of LFO. It's so hard to deal with. You got to be careful. And Clash definitely overstepped their welcome, and it even cost the life of A-Man Legend at the end of that fight. So that's the moment where they should have been like, okay, we've got a kill, let's move out, but they overcommitted, and it cost them a lot more than what they initially predicted.
Yeah, and for LFO, you know, they're engaged, the solar flare coming down. Okay, that doesn't really connect as much as it wants, but they always have the disengage, of course, with the barrel if they want to go for it. But the Zenith Blade can certainly lock someone up. He goes for foul, and there goes the barrel coming through. They're trying to lock him towards it. Amen Legend just on the side. He's trying to tank up as much as he can, but the damage has been done there. And finally, they get onto the AD carry, and this could turn in blue team's favor. Clash looking to move in, and finally, they get the carry down.
What's the game plan? Go for Drake, or you go for the extra kills? Seem like the 2 players, Product and also Veos, not going to be looking to take that fight. They're going to let it go. I think that's fine. They got the Infernal Drake earlier. Let's not test your luck just yet. Let's keep that for a later stage. Back onto the fight. We'll see. And I'm loving how Hangman is just getting these huge Zenith plays every time, but it does really seem in my mind, D-Man, that when you're looking at Clash, they're focusing down multiple targets at the same time. If they would focus the same target at the same time, that fight would last way shorter, and they would have got potentially 5 kills instantly. So it seemed like Clash need to refocus onto which champions they want to take down in priority, and then play off the back of that. Then his Blade's going to be able to get some damage. Solar Flare not going to be doing too much, as they're now trying to escape from the fight.
He's got the Cyclone to disengage, does manage to flash away as well, so we'll be safe in the end. But going back to that fight, that's the first time that Capalot has actually been focused. Nomo finally landing that gold card, getting on that AD carry, and that removed so much damage. So much damage from LFO, because the last 2 fights they've had, he's just been free to roam. So good adjustments from Clash Spain here. Managed to sort it out. We'll see how it affects them. I'm a Legend at the moment. He's realized that they're not focusing him. They're not really looking at him. He's that big tanky Renekton in front, and they're ignoring him. So he needs to be more relevant now.
Some things also keep in mind is the Clash has had a roster change. And only in one player. They had Savik beforehand, who was in mid lane, and he got changed by Noso Gnomo, aka Gnomo for short. And it does seem like that there's a little bit of synergy that is lacking, and I think that could be off the back of that big roster change that is not easy to deal with. You know, a month after one player changed out, it can cause a lot of distress in your team, and it can change a lot of small parts and pieces to actually be moved around to make it work again. So it seemed like Clash are still adjusting, it does feel, and that's why I'm at least noticing in this game. But we're also in the loser bracket, right, in the lower side. So whichever team loses this series is already out of the event. So the stakes are extremely high, which shows why these 2 teams are taking it so seriously right now.
Absolutely. You can see the 1,000 gold difference between the 2 top laners, or Baron laners, the Fiora and the Renekton. So big advantage at the moment for Embreduke. And remember how passive he had to be in lane, because he had that Lee Sin sort of focusing up there for a short period of time. So great job for him. Obviously 3-1-3, looking great at the moment, and certainly a massive threat to the carries. Nomo and Hannah, I can't remember the rest of the name is. Either way, the Zaya is what I'll go with, because the name was cut off. Definitely a threat to them, but this is the top turret, and they've been kind of left exposed at the moment. There's 4 up there. They should get the turret down maybe before they can get close, and Teleport's going to come in. That's going to stop them. That's going to be Nomo going aggressive, looking on the Wukong, trying to put the pressure down.
Yeah, Hanuari is going to be actually not too far away, so could try and just serve a little bit of poking, making sure they can't get too close. Nice CC connected onto Veos. Not going to go the full distance, at least for now. As Hegman, once again, if you can go for the fight, I'll take it. A-Man Legend into the bottom side, taking a mini one-on-one versus Emperor, but is not going to go the full distance. They take it relatively slow, as they know a Baron threatening position could be happening later on down the line, so they need to make sure that they survive as a 5-man crew, because otherwise that is opening a world of opportunity for the winning team.
I was just a little fearful for Gragas. Oh, and this is what we were talking about. The Grand Challenge can come down in here as well. But he's caught under the tower. Will get the kill, but it's going to be a traded straight 1-for-1. You can see he's got the power. But I got to be honest, Eamon Lynch is going to be happy about that, coming out on top with a draw of a kill. The Wukong's going to be the focused target. You can see he's already low, and he's going to get caught in the knock-up. That's what they wanted. But it still manages to almost get away with the Cyclone.
This game is so close. There's so much back and forth. It's time to re-engage into the Solar Flare. Once they see Hanuari is going to also be slowed away. That's going to be it. The Lee Sin closes the gap, gets some significant damage onto Hegman, and now it's going to be Balot going to try and move out, jumps out with a Valkyrie 2. Topside did get pushed up severely, actually, by the Gragas Veils, able to get a little bit of extra CS, but man, this game is so close.
Yeah, and I think they just realized it. The then Dragon's coming up in 5 seconds, but it is risky because the respawns are still short at the moment. They're going to get back down here as quick as you like. But just going back to that fight a moment ago, you saw the damage that Capelot can get down, if allowed. When Hegman goes in, locks up with that Zenith Blade, it works out. There's the Blue Wolf taking the Dragon away, so a quick Dragon taken, and they will back away from this one. Now, what is LFO going to try and get off the back of this? I think bottom turret.
I think that might be the play, actually, for them to go for. They could try and use it in that way. We'll see. Trying to look for a few picks into the enemy jungle. I like the deep vision, too, that they're trying to set up. They haven't got too much just yet, but I think that is something that Emperor is trying to achieve for the rest of his squad. Mid lane, though, is going to be pushed up right now. It's going to be straight onto the fight and picks up the very first kill of that engage. Now they got man advantage. What do you do with it? We'll have to see. It might be a Baron threaten.
Yeah, you saw them pinging it, saying we want that mid lane. Let's try and force it. But now, with obviously Veos going down, that big Gragas can be a threat. So they're wondering, should we try and bait the Baron? At the moment, LFO considering it. They're thinking, okay, but don't forget that timer. Still only 20 seconds. They can't posture for too long. They want to try and lock up a target as quick as they can, which is going to be very tricky now because they are grouped as a 4.
I think they know Clash would not be that ballsy of a team to go for the Baron with only one man advantage, especially because it's Veos that's not doing a big portion of that damage output. Most of the damage is really coming out from Capelot, and you got to be careful you actually pin him down in those fights, which they're actually struggling to do. He's just moving around. I think there was a fight earlier, D-Man, where you said that he was completely untouched, and that is true. If you do not get rid of Capelot, your fight is going to be pushed to the limit, and you're going to have a real hard time to find closure. As a replay comes out, and we see how they just completely collapse on top of him. I mean, the 4-man setup is huge. It goes to show that the synergy truly is strong for Clash, despite that roster change that I mentioned earlier. It seemed like they are big moments of greatness.
That's a great catch. Capelot, the AD carry's been doing so much damage, completely caught out. That buys them the mid turret. That's all they need. They can rotate and maybe even catch them, because at the moment LFO are thinking, oh, they're going Baron. But they're not. They're going straight for that mid turret.
Oh, no. That's going to be it. Zenith Blade onto the support. Not really who wants Solar Flares. Has completely missed the mark. And now Clash are just looking to take down the players of LFO one by one. They put the focus over onto the Fiora. Emperor also will bite the dust. And now they're taking down the towers and might just get an Inhib tower. And you know that when the Inhib tower falls, things start to get really dim for the enemy team.
Yeah, and that's going to be a quick Inhib turret in and out. And they can even peel away and try and set something up for a Baron play. But for me, my worth, I think they should maybe just try and fake this out and go buy. Try and spend some of that gold. They've just picked up a chunk of gold, but you know what? They don't care. They're going straight in for that Baron with the jungler down. Why not? They've got plenty of time. The Hegman's going to come in, but there's not a great deal he can do. Maybe try and steal it away with a Solar Flare, but that's a risky. Can the Baron come in enough? No, too early. And that is gone.
That barrel scared me for the longest time. I thought maybe it's down to 300 HP. I think 346 or something like that, but not quite going to happen. So really good attempt and a good fight from Clash all around. There we saw the Solar Flare, unfortunately, completely missing the mark, and Clash really taking the fight. And that's the main issue I'd had with them when they took the fight towards the second Drake. I think it was for the Ocean, where they were damaging all of the players of LFO without actually finding kills. Now they shifted that completely and threw it out of the window. Now they burst them down so quickly. I'm loving it. As they're trying to set up into the bush, you've got to be careful.
Zenith Blade misses. Hegman needed that, maybe. Well, a bit risky to try and go for the Solar Flare as well as the opener, so right choice, but just, yeah, they were cautious. The Clash were aware of what was happening there, and you can see the gold advantage starting to work very much in their favor. Real big step up here, and of course, Baron buffing all the lanes up the top and bottom turrets under pressure. That's where the focus is now going to be, down that bottom side.
Now looking for Org, trying to spread their forces just a tad, try and make sure they can keep all their towers up and alive. But unfortunately, when you do so, you also stretch yourself very thinly. They can fight opportunities clear for Clash. Solar Flare into the explosive cards. That's a big CC. Instantly finds himself one kill actually onto Gnomo. The rest of Clash are going to be leaving, but that's a good setup. Yeah.
Look at this. The inhibitor turret on the bottom lane is going down, so they've got 1 kill to lose an inhib turret. Not worth, in my opinion. Can they try and get more from this one? There's going to be the Zenith Blade. They will get the lockup. They will get the kill, but they're losing the Nexus. The finish is coming out here, and that is game, ladies and gentlemen. They're looking for kills, while Clash are looking for game.
Wow, I am so impressed, and I keep saying it. Normally, having a team-wide adjustment on how you play the game from a game-to-game basis is so hard. Changing how you play the game inside of one game is out of my imagination. It's just so well played. They struggled in the first fights, and they understood this is not working. We need to do a drastic change of how we execute these fights. It worked out amazingly well. I love to see Clash just shift their playstyle right away. And now we're looking at this one. It's 1-0 for Clash. They take another one, and as LFO, a team that I said could be an underdog, already out of the event. So that would be a big team already lost, going to show how high the level of competition truly is in Group A.
Absolutely. Let's look at some of the highlights from that game, because it started off so well for LFO, but it quickly curtailed. You know, we were talking about how Capalot wasn't being focused. Well, Clash realized that mid-game, and that is the sign of a good team, you know, that they can adjust mid-game, change their focus. This fight here, Capalot just doing free damage, and that was the big problem, and you thought at the time Clash were in trouble.
I really got to say, the unsung hero of this game was going to be, of course, you're looking at the Rakan. I think that he was just doing an absolutely fantastic job this time around. So I'm looking at more from the noob. He was going straight into the heroes, into the grand entrance, into also a quickness. You're going to put layoff CC on top of one another, and you set up your team really well. This is still the moment where Clash was struggling to really get that synergy down. They were doing their own thing. For example, here you have Fontaine is going to be Fallen, sorry, is going to be a little bit too far out of reach while his team is focusing another target. And they completely scrapped that at the end of the game, and it worked out amazingly well. So once again, I think that change of pacing is just what Clash needed, and it did result in them taking the first game of the series. While those explosive casts were still clean from Veos, but at the end it was not enough.
And if you look at that, obviously the pressure at the time, LFO was starting to pile it on, but Clash then just quickly turned it around. This was the big turning point here. The gold card catching Capalot off guard. Capalot trying to be avoid as much as he can, but Clash just turned it. And it was what a great game. What a great game to start things off, because that was back and forward. It could have gone either way.
Yeah, I'm really surprised actually, because normally when you have the Origin series happening is what we saw last month, right? Where a lot of teams would just be almost weeded out at the very start. You'll have a lot of 2-0 stomp series. Maybe sometimes you'll have a 2-1 happening and it pushed to a game 3. But the game of this caliber, where this early on in the event, is very surprising, and I'm just loving every single second of it. So I fully agree, D-Man. This is just a great series, and I'm really hoping this is pushed to a game 3, because I don't want this game to stop. This is great Wild Rift that we're seeing here.
Absolutely. It was fantastic. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I don't know where they're going to go from here, because LFO were in the driving seat. It's going to be very interesting to see how they adjust in the bans there, because by all rights, I felt they had the team comp, but you know, they just didn't get executed. I think of Capalot getting caught out just on the edge of Baron Pit. That was a big kill for me, because that sort of curtailed it for Clash at the time. LFO were kind of in charge, large and in charge in that one, but that was the turning point for me. I mean, it wasn't so much, well, it kind of was Capalot's fault. He was out of position at the end of the day, you know, just sailing through the bushes straight over a ward, and that's what got him caught off guard. But this is a best of 3, which means we have a second game. Let's get into it. If you just joined us, this is game 2, getting ready to go. Looking for Org versus Clash Spain. 2+4, Treyas, Veos, Capalot, or Capiot. It is Capalot in game, I'm pretty sure. Hegman up against, for Clash Spain, Ayman, Legend, Fowler, Nomo, Hanori, and the Noob. Great performance. Clash now leading 1-0, Max. Let's see how this one is going to play out. Where are you seeing this going? Back and bounds. I mean, it was pretty wild matchup. Are we going to see a more controlled match this time around?
I think the draft actually is not going to change all that much. I think the champions are really strong. Maybe you'll have some champions going from one team to another. I think the ban's also pretty much set in stone, so I don't think they're going to change. I think it's mainly down to playstyle, where some teams are overcommitting and definitely overstepping their welcome. We saw that happen to Clash, which is what created a team for a lead early on for looking for Org. And it happened the other way too, where sometimes looking for Org would just go a little bit too fast, spread themselves a little bit too thinly, and Clash were able to capitalize on those opportunities given to them. So I'm not really expecting a change of draft, but I think playstyle is what we might see change a little bit hitting game 2.
Yeah, I am a little worried for LFO. They had a pretty close game with Game Lord in game 1, judging by what I saw in terms of the scores. And then game 2 just absolutely got slapped. So I do worry in terms of mental capacity, how the team can go forward. Obviously, when you're pulling together, looking for an org, trying to get together as a team, maybe stability not quite there yet because they've got a couple of new players, etc. But let's get into the pick and bans here. Twisted Fate obviously was a big part of Clash's execution there, so no surprise that being taken away. In terms of bans, pretty standard so far from what we're seeing in Wild Rift, and Lucian being the first pick.
Yep, Lucian being the first pick. I'm not surprised. We did see it. I believe it was banned onto the first game, so we're going to see it this time left open. It's going to be the first pick for LFO. And Clash going back for it. I said I thought the unsung hero of that game was really the noob. Those grand entrances into the quickness on just, even if it's just one target, you get the kill, you set it up for your team, and then you create a 5v4 literally out of nowhere. Just snap your fingers, boom, 5v4, easy peasy lemon squeezy. They keep that ball rolling. I think things are going to be completely fine. And when you pair up Rakan with a Xayah, it is one of the best duo lane matchups into the Dragon lane, so I have no issue with that whatsoever. But now, that engaged potential of LFO with the Gragas and the Leona, now that is something to be very, very aware about.
Yeah, I mean, they've taken it away from... I tell you lie, no, they had it last time around.
Had it last game,
same setup. And yes, it worked out to start with, but I got to be honest, they're giving Clash kind of everything they want here. I'm a little concerned. They got that Xayah Rakan start, which was a big part of Clash's execution there. We'll see how the Ahri will synergize into this. There's a Varus coming in with the Lucian. Okay, and a Pantheon. All right. It's all in. Pile in, boys.
Okay, I think Pantheon is actually a really good pickup here. You got an ability where you can just negate incoming damage instantly. If you put yourself on the front line, you can soak up, for example, the ball from Ahri and also that charm. So I like it. I also love Singed.
What?
Whoa.
Okay.
Aman Legend on Singed. Okay, that's an intriguing one. You got to keep in mind that Singed, it was popular for some time. Not a huge pick rate, but the execution and how to play is super hard. If you want a good Singed, it's all about how you roam late game. Because Singed, when it falls behind, it's done.
It's also about being very passive early game. Let's get the game on your screens. I'm interested to see how this one will play out.
Singed. Okay. We'll see how that's going to be working out. That's a surprise for sure, but a welcome one every single time. No skin, though. Disappointing, Aman Legend, but that's okay. I'm sure you'll invest if you take yourself a win. As all these teams going to be moving forward. I believe maybe a little bit of deep vision early on from LFO, but once again, we are in the lower bracket, which means if LFO lose this, they're out. They're done.
So, in the June finals, Singed was played twice, and it was Clash Spain that played it twice in there. So, 50% win rate, so 1-1. So, we'll see how well it goes for him. But yeah, very interesting. Okay, so it's not something new. He's done it before. He did it in the monthly finals last time out. Aman Legend. I mean, Singed can be such a troll when he gets going, but you've got to get him going. And up against the Gragas, that's going to be tricky.
I mean, he's literally toxic, right? It's just literally how his kit works.
Literally toxic.
Literally toxic. So it can be a little bit of a bother. And especially the potential of being able to just take a champion and yeet him behind your shoulder. It's good to set up for your team, especially when the engage potential from Capelot and Hegman is there. It could be big, though. Hegman, you've got to be careful. A little bit overzealous, a little bit adventurous. Take a severe beating to the hands of Hanuari. Not going to be going any further just yet, but you got to be careful. This is not an easy matchup. Rakan and Xayah, it will bully you early game if you're not cautious.
Yeah, going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. Of course, we know all about this. That's a great chance to catch, by the way, onto Veils there. Nomo just showing a bit of flexing early on. Very different champion to be playing, obviously. Played the Twisted Fate before. Will possibly spot the roam there. Yeah, absolutely will spot the roam there. They're actually coming up. That's going to be pressure on the crab, so that's going to take away the vision that I don't think Fallon's going to be too happy about.
I love this rotation actually coming out from LFO. They're getting themselves the top scuttle. They're going to give it over to Tyrus, and they already is trying to roam towards the bottom jungle scuttle, so they're going to have double scuttle control, which means the vision game is already on point for looking for Org. If they can get it, though, he's got a little bit initiated. The noob tried to leash it away for a second as they jump over the wall looking for Fallen. Now they're focusing on to Gnomo. Going to have to try and flash away the noob onto the front line. They got the collapse absolutely from Hanuari, and he's going to be putting them solo, trying to flash his way forward, trying to collide those feathers on top of it. But Hegman is there to back the team up. No first blood. It was damn close.
Oh, they ain't done yet. They're still kind of a little back and forward. Finally, the Scuttlecrap says, waves the white flags. I'm done, boys. Don't fight over me. They all will back away. And as you say, very close to first blood, but nobody getting it. But while it's still happening, this is great. So what I mean by that is keeping this jungler busy as they are is buying time for Aemon Legend and Singe to get past his really weak point, which is the early game.
Yeah, just to let him hopefully scale into the game properly. That's what they're going to be hoping for. And versus Gragas, you know Gragas is going to win that matchup early on. So you just let it unchecked. Make sure they're going to be standing in the tower. Just get your farm underway. Start to get a little bit tanky. Or if you want to go AP, go AP. I don't know what he's going to build. I haven't seen a Singe in so long, man. We'll see what he decides to go towards. But you want to make sure that he starts to get some big item power spikes. But unfortunately, it doesn't really work for you. That's the main issue, I would say, man, because the game starts getting into team fights really quickly in Wild Rift. So not something that really helps this type of champion to really take a good opening opportunity right out the gate.
I mean, like, what's his primary function here? A, getting in the way, blocking the damage, keeping the focus away from him. Well, that charm just little miss there. That's going to cost Nomo some damage. But obviously, he's got the flip. Now, who's going to flip? Who's he going for? Is it a flip to keep away? Which I've got to assume it is. He's going to be keeping Hegman away, keeping the possibly the Pantheon. The Pantheon jumps in. Get out of here. Just flip him out of there. Like, what's his primary function going to be when it comes to the team fights?
I mean, I would say his function would be to get access to the Lucian, but Lucian's got such good mobility with that pursuit. You're not going to be able to pin him down that easily. And if you want that to happen, you're going to need a very similar engagement from what we saw last game, where you have the grand entrance into a quickness from the noob. That will be literally one of the only situations I can think of. This is not an easy game where you're going to get super easy access to the backline. Maybe Capelot is one of the champions you'll get onto, but he has his ultimate. He has the Chain of Corruption, and he's just going to pop it onto you the moment he knows he's threatened. So even then, it could work out, but it's going to be really, really hard to pull it off properly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. Capelot probably 100% going to be the focus. The Varus doesn't have that free escape. Here we go. Okay, jungler on jungler, and it does look like they want to go for this one. The charm! Oh, the kick away completely did the charm, but he still may go down. And the jungler going down is huge, obviously, with the dragon being right there. Clash will turn onto the dragon now. There's nothing they can do. They don't have a smite to try and steal us away.
This could look like more like a game of ping pong, I gotta say. Tara's just getting pushed away with the Dragon Rage. This put on back and over the shoulder by Aemon Legend. Interesting prospect, but at the end, I gotta tell you, that is a first blood over to Clash, plus also the first Drake. They are starting to scale properly, with also 1,000 gold lead in their favor, as Aemon Legend can be able to put product right over.
1, 2, 3, 4. Or 4 turret hits onto Emperor there, but Aemon Legend! Oh, it's just not enough heals in the world.
Not enough, unfortunately. Tried to be a little bit more toxic, but seemed like Veos is not going to deal with that. No BM! No BM for Veos. As they're moving out, Goalie has said it's starting to increase a little bit. The Herald is going to spawn very, very soon. So the lane swap could be happening in just a few seconds' time, but Tyra's going to go for the gank.
Yeah, it's going to come in, but that's going to be dangerous now. He's going to be a call away. There's nothing he can do about that one, so Hegman will go down. Gifted, really, that one. Not too sure. Obviously, got to be expecting Fallon to be nearby. Had no ward coverage, of course. And speaking of ward coverage, there's little to none at the moment.
Yeah, really good roam from Noma in general. Really like how he's paying attention to the map and his surroundings. Emperor trying to move away. Maybe the body slam will be there to try and keep him up and alive. But he's going to be dragon raged up. And Emperor might be able to make it alive into the Zenith Blade, but no, there you go. Puts him right over his shoulder. And it actually works out for Aemon Legend. We do see Tyrus pop the ulti, try and join the party relatively late. And that'll allow enough time for Clash to actually make it back to the safety of their tower.
Yeah, Tyra's just a little too late to the party there, and we're starting to see a really nice combo forming, aren't we, between Aemon Legend and Foul, and that flip into the kick. You can suddenly pull, whoever it is you focus on well away from the party. This was so close, catching him out here with the flip, and a lot of turret hits.
Yeah, really good also onto the ultimate. Does get a lot of damage down. One more basic attack is all he really needed. The explosive cast really worked out fine, but that's the charm of the tower. Tyra's trying to get it to... Oh, no, that was a replay.
Yeah, that's the replay. I'm looking at what's going on with the Rift Herald at the moment. The Rift Herald's going to get taken away here, or is it? The focus is all over the place because there's fights happening 2 places across the map. The stun comes in once again with the Zenith Blade. Noob will back away. Rift Herald, in the end, is picked up, and it was an interesting trade. So a very close one there. 4-1, so they're going to give up the top turret for this one.
And intrigued to see where it's going to be actually used onto that Herald, though. Lane trade, they're going to be trying to get himself a few towers under control. There's some extra gold going away of Clash, but in similar fashion, mid lane got heavily hindered, but they're able to hold on to it, and that's huge. As long as you keep it alive, that's exactly what Clash want to try and achieve. So Nova's going to be definitely doing see what is expected to do. Now going to be able to check out that fight again with a Herald, and it was going relatively low. I think Fallen was trying to contest it away with the smite. Nice body slam, able to buy a lot of precious time. He gets straight to the Herald, snatches it away from the grasp of all of LFO, and now is Clash taking another great fight and trying to build a rather sizable lead.
A really good body block as well. Fallon was taken very low there, but a good body block to stop the Cullen, finishing him off. So really well, good teamwork from Clash Spain at the moment. This is working well for them. 4-1 up in terms of kills, but look at the gold advantage. It is starting to snowball out of control a little bit here for LFO. They've got to be careful. They've got to realize they're down. Sure, all they see is the kill count, but they are 5k behind right now. That is pretty big this early on.
It's also so scary when you're seeing Fallen being 3-0 on this Lee Sin, got himself his Yumu's Blade, and also going to go for the Black Cleaver. So he's going to start being a really massive threat to LFO, and you just do not want to deal with him. He's going to be zooming all over the place. And I think that this is slowly but surely slipping out of the grasp of LFO. I do not think this is a game where you can really get back into it, because their team is not a huge comeback team, right? It is not a team that's going to be like, oh, I hit late game, I got a big power spike because I got a Kaiser, such and such. They're going to be purely trying to play around their synergy of their wombo combos. Body slam, explosive cast, solar flare into the chain of corruption. That could work out. But when you're talking of late game scaling, I do think Clash might have the better of it.
Oh, the Rakan goes in. That is the ballsy play. The solar flare comes down. It tries to lock them up, but it's not going to quite be enough. Look at Nomo. In, out. You can't get him down. Slippery son of a bitch that he is. Tyrus comes through. Will finally get the kill, but no! Gets picked off instead, and a 3-for-1 in the end. Eggman just about gets away.
Well, scare me a bit there. Herald instantly popped. I mean, you got the Dragon. You're going to get yourself potentially mid lane tower if the noob pushes it, which I think he is. 3 players are out. Why would you? You'd be foolish to not take that opportunity. They're taking everything. They got a top push, they got a mid push, they got a Dragon push. It's in the bag. I have to say, it's in the bag. Clash, there's no way you lose this game unless that's one of the biggest throw I've seen in a while.
And you got to remember, this is down in the lower bracket as well. Clash Spain and LFO looking for fighting for the tournament lives right now to see if they can continue on in the lower bracket, the round of 8 at the moment. But what an engage in the end. The noob cost him his life, I think. No, he gets away as well.
Yeah, he just made it out, able to just barely walk away from that fight. There was a Grand Starfall from the Pantheon. Tyrus, eyes on the prize onto Nomo. I really like his play, but at the end, you are taking the 2v4. You know it's not going to work out for you, mate. So now all the objectives being taken. 9 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, a gold lead. They're slowly but surely approaching the 10,000 lead. 10,000 lead is so hard to come back from.
But look at the lead where it's on. Look at the 2 junglers. Look at the 2 AD carries. That is enormous. It's a 3,000 gold advantage for the Lee Sin over the Pantheon. The Pantheon, not a lot he can do in these fights now. When the Pantheon falls behind, you're kind of useless in a team fight then.
Yeah, it is not going to be helping out at all. And also his 2 Drakes is going to make it a little bit harder. The Infernal Drake is there to follow up too, so if they get it, it's just a way for them to put the nail in the coffin, seal the fate of LFO, and find close to this one as they pushed him out of the entire Origin series. Hegman, don't face check it, instantly into the charm, into the grand entrance, and there's nothing can do. Chain of Corruption, able to get some decent CC and peel away for both Tyrus and also for the Capilot himself, so able to somewhat make it work out, but way too deep here. Hey, man, what are you doing, mate? Trying to be a little bit toxic there, get some extra tick damage, just trying to put some players over his shoulders. But now with the Baron up, I mean, Clash, I think they're just going to threaten it and force the fight to come to them.
Absolutely. I mean, that fight was just extending out. The Nomo was just like, all right, my charm's off cooldown any second now. So if you do come looking for this, I'm going to charm you down there. There comes the troll. Aemon Legend, the troll going in there, just distracting. They put the damage down on him. Oh, the noob's going to get away very low at the moment. They're going to try and focus on him. Nomo around the side there, but Tyrus tries to come in. But as I mentioned, doesn't have a great deal of damage. But this is a good fight coming out for LFO. They can try and turn on the Baron, but they haven't dealt with Fowlin yet. That's dangerous with the jungler alive.
Wait, Hegman didn't even use the solar flare? What? It seemed like it. That was such a dominant fight. Actually, for looking for Org, really surprised. I especially enjoyed Tyrus there. That was a really good use of the Grand Starfall right in the middle of the lane. I believe he hit 3 to 4 targets with that. So actually, that's some extra damage joining the mix. We'll have to check out on this replay to get themselves the body slam. But that's the thing. That is what is so good about Pantheon. You're at Amanda's advantage. Pop the global ultimate, and boom, you're already into the fight. And Tyrus definitely turned the tides of that fight in the favor of his team. And they just got himself poke after poke after poke. Really good execution. But will it be enough to put themselves back into the lead? Seems maybe not, as Capilot gets picked away.
Yeah, Hegman was taken down early in the bush, so he'd only just come back from the respawn, which is why he didn't get that solar flare down early on. But really good explosive cask, actually, to separate them, and so they could focus on the carries within that fight. A little bit of a replay here. So this is going to be Capilot on the side here. Really good chain of corruption. But Duck, I don't think he has quite enough damage to finish him off. He does in the end, so he will take him down. So Fowler picked off, but oh no, in comes the noob.
Yeah, that was a grand entrance with a quickness once more. The typical wombo combo we can expect from this player from Clash Spain. No, Dragon are going to be up very soon. What's the game plan? You can see Clash how they're positioned around the map. They want to take control of the Northern River. They want to be able to remain in that position and make sure that they control that terrain, control the vision, and if they want to try and force the fight to come their way, they are actually the team leading the march and deciding and controlling what really happens in the grand scheme of that. But now things are slowing down a little bit. The goal lead was reduced a tad. We were getting close to the 10,000 now. It's just about 5k, so able to be half the way. Great plays from LFO all around, but it's still going to require a lot more than just one fight, right?
Yeah, keep your eye on the map there. So 15 seconds to go on Dragon. Both top laner, Aemon Legend, and it was Hanamaru, also went back. So they both went back, made sure they got their items bought out. And now with the Dragon alive, they're going to be full 5-man, fully geared up, fully ready to go. With that gold advantage, that 5k gold advantage is going to turn into items. A big solar flare could turn the game. But I got to be honest, this is really risky now for LFO. This is do or die.
The damage of Capello is very underwhelming. He does barely anything. It is but a scratch. He's just tickling them by now. Very surprising, actually. The ultimate is the big game-changing ability that he's trying to play around as much as possible. The tower still not falling down. That's something that LFL, I'm sure, striding to try and achieve is just on a slither of HP. There's a big wave top 2. Clash, if they win the next fight, they could push top and really get some extra gold built against the entirety of LFO.
No, they wanted to commit for a Dragon when Baron is certainly an option if they were to lose the fight. So it's simply a case of trying to look for a pick. Explosive Garrett Barrel. Do you use it to try and find that pick? Do you try and get it with the Zenith Blade? They're really grouped up heavily because they have nothing to fear about being clumped up other than obviously the Rakan coming in with the quickness there. But other than that, they don't really have too much to fear. So this is just going to simply poison. It is the fight to stay in the tournament for LFO.
Yeah, you can feel the buff there onto the Quill on the range. He's able to get those heals continuously and just remain so healthy. I mean, he's full HP, but still he's able to get some decent pokes. 19 HP on that tower, I just realized. Damn, he just blown it, and he's going to be taken down huff and puff, and we'll see where it goes.
They're going to push mid turret. They're just going to push mid turret. They're out of position.
They can't fight them.
They can't cut across. They cannot cut across, and they may give up mid turret if they're not careful, which obviously leaves the position. Look, Singe is going to top, so they're just going to try and force it down. As you mentioned, 19 hit points left on that top turret. There's the charm landing. Emperor Duck losing half his hit points by a single flash of a charge. Look at Singe. He's just waiting off at the side. They're looking for the kick. They try and find it. They get it down there. Straight to the charm comes in. That's going to be enough to lock him down. In comes the Singe round on the side there. Will knock them down. Heckman going to be the focus target. Tyrus is also taken very low. It is a 1-for-1 trade so far. Still very much in Clash's favor.
Yeah, trying to go for the grand entrance once again. We'll be able to jump away, but it's an extra 2 kills picked up. The double whammy, actually, for Hanuari. And they're going to put the focus right into the Infernal Drake. But there you go, G-Man. That is how you use a Cinch. You flank, you be annoying as hell to make sure you can just push LFO and control their position to your whim and to your heart's desire. Straight for the Infernal Drake. They pick it up. You got to be careful, though. A little bit of an overstep from Veos. You do not want to get collapsed upon. But now they're going to try and go straight for the Baron. As once again, the CC engage is huge, and they just pick them up one by one. The Grand Starfall a little bit late from Tyrus, and then he's the one taking the full-on wrath of Clash at the end. Try and get himself the Blade Caller, get some extra layoff CC to maybe find closure to that fight. The extra tower dive, boom, picks up one, goes for the double. I mean, Clash are looking unstoppable here.
And if you didn't quite notice it there, Fowlan using the kick to get Hegman away. Not to look for that kill. Oh, I'm going to get an AD carry. No. He used it defensively, which is very unusual for Lee Sin. Obviously, you're always looking for that highlight reel play, but he went, no, I'm going to keep this Leona away from the fight. There's nothing he can do here. It's completely caught out. Tyrus actually kicked in, and as we were talking about how low he is in terms of gold, but how far behind he is. This is going to be the finishing play here. Clash, nothing they can do about this one. You can see Emperor Duck going to get taken down. The last man standing. They are just rolling on through.
That's
simply caught out of position. That indeed will be GG. Not a man lost. It's an ace. It's the game.
That's the game, that's the series, and that's the day. We're going to be done with day one here for the Origin series, and it's taken by none other than Clash themselves, a team that has been all over the place as of recent months. But you know what? It seems like they've been able to improve so much in recent times and able to actually take themselves a series versus a team that's really stacked, I said, D-Man. And I think I cursed them a little bit, said they could be the underdog team. I'm sorry, guys, I did curse you a little bit, but man, Clash, they surprised me. I was not expecting huge things, but they have definitely improved a lot in recent months.
I mean, both games were still very close, though. No doubt about it. LFO were looking in control in the first game until it slipped away from them. Until the AD carry got caught out, that's when things started to go away. But game 2 looked far more controlled for Clash there. They definitely looked a lot better team overall. And in terms of comps, they were in control. It was just slowly but surely slipping away from the game. And it was only a matter of time before that big team fight that was poised to happen. It was Iron Legend's flank that worked out in the end there, and also the kick from the Lee Sin. Just get that solar flare away from my team and give the players the damage, and it was just brilliant stuff. And Max,
yes,
we don't have an interview just yet. It's coming in a minute.
Okay, I was ready to jump into it, but back on what you said about the Lee Sin especially, that is why Lee Sin is so strong, and I think that Lee Sin is a pick or ban kind of champion. If you're dealing with someone that knows how to play it, that Dragon's Rage every time is going to put someone so far out of position, unless you have a flash and I don't know if you're Malphite and use an unstoppable force to reposition, then maybe. Otherwise, it's out of the realm of possibilities. Lee Sin is too strong of a champion. They keep nerfing all the other junglers. I don't know why. But Lee Sin just continuously stands on top of the mountain of the junglers so far. And as I said, if you play it properly, it is a champion that can literally set your team up for success alone.
Yeah, I mean, let's look back at that game because they had so much happening throughout it, so many highlight reel moments. You got to think of the fights early on. Obviously, looking back, this is from the first game of the day. If you just joined us, by the way, this was Crow Crowd up against the Istanbul team, obviously the Wildcats inside there. So fantastic performance from them. Some interesting team fights. This went badly wrong for Crow Crowd, this fight.
Yeah, that was the one big mistake, and then it just set up Sim Bunny for success. He just kept bullying and taking barely any damage in those fights, and just could even allow himself to tower dive from time to time. And that's what really caused Crow Crowd to lose themselves their game at the very end. So really good stuff at the end that we saw coming out. I think that we had some really good expectations that we set for some of these teams. And I think that, especially, for example, Clash did subvert my expectations coming into this. So I'm surprised to see that teams that maybe struggled before have improved drastically from month to month. And we said it, this is still Wild Rift Esports in its infancy. And what you're seeing right now, this is just the start. Teams that are playing and improving in a month, imagine how good they'll be in a year or 2 years' time.
Absolutely. Early game players could be very different to what would happen in a month, 2 months, 3 months down the line, because the game progresses, the meta changes, the patches come through. Some teams benefit, some teams struggle, but it's all about the teams that can withstand throughout. And this game here, obviously the first game was a very interesting one for us. That was in obviously Group B. This was over in Group C. Sunlight, the finalists of June, putting on a very strong performance. Expect to see them in or around the finals for Group C once again.
Yeah, I was loving how Madge was playing that. When I talked about it right at the end of that series, and I was so impressed with how Madge was playing, especially in that Corki onto the first game of the series. It was out of this world. And it set up the team so well. I think that's definitely something worth mentioning, that Sunlight is coming into Group C as a favorite with the likes of Kurt, and I would love to see a similar final here. I would love to see a Sunlight versus Kurt matchup later on, as now we're going to be slowly but surely entering the replays, I believe, of the last game. We're going to see a few happen eventually, but it's been great. I would not have had it any other way here, D-Man. A absolutely fantastic day one, a beautiful day one here for the Origin Series for the finals in July. And we've got another one next month too. So, man, we've got so much action happening in Wild Rift Esports that I'm loving it, and I'm here for the long run.
Absolutely. It's a solid performance from some of the teams. I know a lot of guys that are out in chat and be like, oh, why are you not just covering this? I want to see this team, I want to see this team.
Too many.
Honestly, well, there's too many. And B, you don't want to see 2-0 whitewashes. You don't. Yes, I guess everybody wants to see Tribe, the winners of Group A before. But the fact is, they 2-0'd both games today, and they were very quick games. So they wouldn't have been entertaining to watch. Sure, you might have enjoyed seeing your favorite players performing well, but we got to give everybody coverage, and it's great to see because we've had some fantastic Wild Rift action today.
Exactly. We'll see, of course. And the more matches actually happen, the better the teams are going to get. And that means also that the later matches, hitting day 3, day 4, those matches are going to be from a completely different kind of caliber from what we've been able to see today. And even saying that, today's matches have been completely insane. So I have very, very high expectations for day 3, day 4 as to how things are actually going to be unfolding. That was the play that came out from Capello. I really liked his plays around the Valkyrie from time to time. The reposition game was strong, but then also we had this first matchup of the day, the first series, and those delivery services onto the shockwave of the Orianna is key. I'm hoping to see a lot more of those kind of play styles throughout the next 3 days.
Yeah, absolutely. We had some really interesting team fights. You know, the fact that we just finished with a singed, ladies and gentlemen, we just finished with a singed. It was brilliant. That's great to see. Obviously, Clash Spain in the first game, very close. Look, I mean, look at the score, 17-14 there in this highlight right now. That's how close this game was. In terms of gold, yes, it was starting to snowball away with Clash in the end when they got the Baron, etc. But definitely a close game that could have gone either way. This, a really nice little combo, by the way, with the Lee Sin and the Singe combined, just showing the control they had. And in the end, obviously, it was simply magnificent games. It does mean, of course, we have plenty more action tomorrow, but we're not done yet, Max. We're not done yet, Max.
That's still three more days.
Oh, absolutely. We have 3 more days, but that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
Not
what I meant is, what I meant was, I'm a legend who just played Singed as the only person to have played Singed in June, and now in July is here in an interview. That's what we get for you, Max. That's what you get, just for you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Hey, I want an interview with the Singe man himself. Hey, man, legend. Already, congratulations on your very first game. How are you feeling after that one?
Thank you very much. Well, we feel very good with the team. We won, so we have to go ahead and keep winning in the bracket.
So let's talk about your brackets. Obviously, you know, you competed throughout the June brackets. What have you done in between June and July now to try and step up and improve as a team?
Well, we trained so much. I think we level up in the scrims, so we do a lot of scrims more. And yeah, I think in the last month we had a bad day, so we're here to show our level.
Yeah. I think you guys did definitely just that today in that matchup versus LFO. That was an absolutely amazing way to close it off. But I mean, we had a Singe, right? And I think we have to talk about that just a little bit, man.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know, going into Singe on that second game, was that like you feeling comfortable, like we won a game 2, let's have a little more fun? Or is that actually something that, as you said, in the scrims you've been training, did you train it a bit? Or what was the plan with the Singe?
We train it. I think Singe is a very underrated champ. So yeah, I think it works. And it worked.
It did, yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. You got For the Win tomorrow, the Italian team coming in. Anything you know about these guys, or what are you expecting?
Sorry?
You're playing For the Win tomorrow, it seems, judging by the bracket. Do you know much about these guys?
Well, I think they are good players, but I think how we are playing, we can win them very comfortable.
Okay. Hey, there you go. I like seeing a positive mindset coming into it. And also, I want to ask you, Safar, because you're in Group A, and I think that we can all say that Group A is the most competitive group of this entire Origin series. Which other teams you're looking at here as, okay, these are going to be your rivals or team you might have a hard time to take down, that you know these are going to be big matchups?
Well, I think Triv has a good level, so if we fight versus them, I think it would be a hard match, but it would be a good match to watch.
Wait, Tribe.
Tribe, sorry.
Okay, yeah. I was like, is there a team called Tribe then?
yeah, sorry.
You're good.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Thank you very much for joining us, man. You've been brilliant. It was great for us. It surprised us. We were like, wait, Singed? It's great to see something different being brought to the meta. As you say, a strong champion. You proved it as well. Good luck tomorrow and in the rest of the tournament.
Okay, thank you very much.
So, Max, that is it. Done for today. What a fantastic games we've had. Obviously, this is just day one. We have 3 more days of action to go ahead in the July finals to find out who the winners will be. We had some big upsets throughout June, and it looks like July is going to offer just as much action.
Yeah, I think I couldn't have it any other way. I think that this has started even better than last season. I said there were some teams. Clash, I was like, this team has been a little bit all over the place, and look at them now. They've turned a completely new leaf, and I'm hoping to see more things coming up on this team. He said, no, Tribe could be a team that's a little bit hard to take down. Hey, never know. They could make history here in Wild Rift Esports for the EMEA region and actually take down the top dogs of this entire EMEA region. And we'll have to see. Maybe not even them. Maybe the other teams around, because let's not forget that when you have all these finals at the end of the month, is to qualify for a big event at the end of the year. So they got something to aim towards, and that is why all these teams got the ambition to go to it, because you want to make sure you can play on an even bigger stage than this if you perform well in the Origin series.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of money up for grabs for these teams as well, obviously all performing well. It's great to see. I mean, I'm looking at the bracket semifinals. They're mouthwatering, man, especially for Group A, Tribe versus Game Lord. That's the game that a lot of people were talking about, obviously, last time in June, but Game Lord fell short in that one. But also Singularity versus Queso. Both those semifinals look magnificent. There's no doubt about it. I'm looking across all the other groups as well. There's so many big teams performing. This is what I love to see. Origin Series bringing Wild Rift to obviously the European regions, North Americas. It is in North Americas. We're not covering North Americas right now. North Africa, Middle East, all these regions represented is what we love to see. Teams stepping it up. Obviously, we have big Turkish teams stepping up as well throughout the day that we saw today as well. So fantastic stuff overall. Plenty of action to come. That's what I'm going to say. We will be right back tomorrow. Same time, same place. Join us then for some fantastic matches.